episode of Chatty Broads with Bekah and Jess.
Welcome to my podcast. Thanks so much for coming on. I'm so glad you could be here with me.
I'm just happy to be here.
So glad you could come. You've been asking for a really long time, and you were on my list of guests to have, but obviously there's priority.
I just am a fan, and I'm just excited to be here. And
I know you kept texting me, and I was telling Jess hey, I mean, we're close, but I'm like 11 p.m. consistently bugging to ask to be on the podcast. And it's just it was a little
I
over
like
the top.
to text at late hours too, and that's kind of my favorite thing is I go, hey, is now a good time? It's 1 a.m. to talk about my spot on the pod.
Yeah. The 3-minute voice memo thing is just kind of, I felt like it was too much.
Yeah, I do a lot of lead up too, where it's like, hey, just so you know, everything's going good. Hope everything's well. This is what happened to my day. And then I finally get into it.
I didn't feel like we needed to do like the 4-hour Zoom workshop about what we were going to talk about on this podcast, but I'm glad that we had put that.
Yeah, well, for me, it's all about a warm up, and you don't go into a game without a stretch. So I needed to get my stretch on.
It's all about sports for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a big sports guy. I don't follow sports. But for some reason today, I have made 4 analogies that connect to sports. I don't know what's going on.
You have brought up sports. That's like the fifth time.
I don't know why. I don't even watch sports. I play.
Now you're overcompensating. I hate sports. I hate hockey.
I'll tell you because I blew my knee out. So now all of a sudden you want to do all the shit you weren't even doing before. But you're like, oh, okay. I got to get back in there, coach.
Jessica Lanyadou said that you need to get back into team sports.
Very true.
How do you feel about that?
It makes sense. Which is really interesting because right before I blew my knee out, I was joining a hockey league.
No way.
Yeah, I was like, I need this again. I literally bought, I got my old gear from my parents' house. I bought some new gear to get me up ready to go. And then a week later, I blew my leg out.
What do you think the message from the universe is about that?
I think 2 things. I think one is physical activity is important for my brain.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm working out regularly or physically moving, surfing, whatever, my brain works better.
Yeah.
Because I think I have a lot of busy mind. If I'm physically moving, it kind of calms all the voices. And then the team aspect of it, I think, is also the social aspect. That I
meant with your knee. I'm not one of those people that thinks everything happens for a reason, but I will say that was a very random, very dramatic, very intense situation.
Yeah.
Random, chaotic, horrible things happen, but I that's what I'm saying. What was the message from the universe in that?
It's interesting you say that. So we've been talking about this in the pod, but I've been going to this, I call him my therapist, but whatever. We're going to him
you're
for
a
the
mentor.
I call him my guru.
Yeah.
For the last year. And one of the biggest things that he's kind of helped me with is when people say woo, is I was so shut off because of my history to anything spiritual, any woo. Even Jessica said you're a lot more woo than you realize, and you need to open yourself up to that. So when this happened, I was kind of all right, my old self would have just been this shit happens. But I was I'm going to open myself up to what could this mean, or how could I take this, you know? So I was fresh out of surgery, a week, and I was walking on this path with Jess, and this random biker dude, heavy metal looking face tattooed guy walks up to me, and he goes, "What happened to your leg?" And I go, "Oh yeah, blew it out doing this." And he goes, and he pulls his shorts up, and he has a huge scar, same thing. And he goes, "I had the exact same thing happen to me." And he goes, "Look at me, man." And he goes, "This is a message." And he goes, "You need to slow down, and you need to contemplate kind of where your head's at."
Oh my God.
Because clearly you weren't slowing down enough to listen. So your body and the universe shut it down for you. And I was just sitting here going
dude,
this wasn't some guy who was hippie guy. I mean, this was a biker metalhead.
No, and he said that to you for a reason.
And he literally just
felt like he needed to stop you and tell that to you.
It was weirdly angelic. So he looks at me, he says that stuff right in my eyes. And I go, "Whoa, man, that's interesting. You say that. I kind of feel that way too." And he goes, "Yeah, anyway, brother, have a good day." And then he just left. And it was he walked across the street to tell me too. It wasn't it was the most bizarre.
He was called to talk to you and tell you that.
Yeah. And then my guru guy was saying the same stuff. He goes, because I've been working with him for 6 months. Yeah. And then he goes, "You weren't listening." So your body just said to you, "Okay, I'll make you listen." And I was like, whoa. So then I really did make it intentional.
Wow.
And it's funny because if you were to tell me I would have done this to my leg, and you would have asked me a year ago, how would you react? I'd be I would be devastated. My summer's over. This sucked. It honestly, not a single day I've woke up where I've been devastated by it. I've been like, you know what? Let's take advantage of this time and work on my brain. And it's really helped.
Wow.
It's been weird. It's like the paradigm shift.
Mindset shift.
So call it the universe, call it just, you can, it's just shit luck, but then you can change your perspective on it. However you want to look at it. It has been a very positive happening for my brain.
Probably kind of a reset.
Totally. That what's important, realizing I was not present, a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Because I have a tendency to be very like in 5 places at once in my brain.
Totally.
Like I can be with you, but not with you.
Yeah.
Because my brain is just like firing,
Yeah.
So
do you feel anxious when you're like that or not really? Like you're just like, you do feel anxious.
That's why I used to drink a lot. So like in my mid 20s and stuff, I started realizing that like, I wasn't just partying for partying. I was partying for like medication. Yeah. Because it would allow my brain to just be focused on whatever we're doing, having fun, whatever.
Zero in on being more in the moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I've always kind of looked to other things to settle my mind, and this was like a real time where it was like, hey, you got to work on this, man. Cause you never have.
Yeah.
You've always found another way, even, or overworking myself for no reason, like creating tasks for myself just to keep my mind
on the hamster wheel.
Yeah. And realizing that like, dude, you're not present. You're not giving your full effort to things because you're doing 20 things at 10%. And like then it makes you feel more anxious. It's like, it's interesting how like I had never forced myself to come to terms with that.
I think what's difficult too is like we live in a culture, like hustle culture, right? Yeah. So it's like you doing a bazillion things at once and also like doing well and work and all of that stuff. It's like, when you look at it from our culture's perspective, it's like you're killing it. Like you're doing everything right. What could be wrong? And I think that we forget that like all of that stuff can be a numbing and a distraction. Like we only look at things that have like a negative byproduct, right? Like, oh, if you're doing drugs or if you're just like laying around at home, like that's bad because you're not like doing shit.
Yeah.
But you can be doing way too much shit to numb yourself out and to like, distract yourself from all the things you need to face. It's been
my existence, my whole adult life. Like, and I think it's also the way you brought up too. Is like, I was always kind of brought up to like your value as, and I don't think this was done like, it's more like old school mentality, but your value is what you make.
Yeah. What you have to offer.
Yeah. What you generate for a thing, whether it be money, a project, whatever it is, it's like whatever you contribute to the project is your worth.
Yeah.
So like my worth was so wrapped up in that. So it's interesting. The music industry kind of slows down during the winter, and every winter time I get really anxious because I'm like, first of all, like, is everything I know and love gone? Am I never going to have a career again? Whatever you just, but then also like, okay, I have this downtime. I'm losing my mind.
I'm faced with myself.
This is the first time where I'm like not anxious. And I'll have days where I'm like kind of working a little bit and then I'm like chilling and I'm going like, why am I not freaking out? I should be freaking out. And I'm like, whoa, the work is happening. So it's been interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Gray's on the same thing right now. And it's been like, we've been trying to unpack that too. Cause it's like, it's like TV, anything can be a distraction. Even working out, like I always talk about that with men. Like, I think it's good. I think everyone should have like a physical outlet, but I think also men can like very often throw themselves into the gym, throw themselves into sports because it's like in those moments, like you're talking about, you can shut off your brain. You can shut off like, emotions that you need to face that have never been dealt with.
That's it really. It's like dealing with shit that's there that you don't want to talk about or because it makes you anxious or it freaks you out or trauma or whatever it is.
And male culture is so different because of course like women, we get together and we're just like, talking about, it's a cliche, but it's true. We're all like talking about our feelings and talking about our childhoods and like really just processing all the time.
Right. And so, it's interesting. It's a tough one for me. I go in and out of it, but like, I think the one thing that it really always comes down to is just like, facing the shit in your brain, which is scary. Also realizing that like your worth is not tied to what you create. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's totally. That's what you do. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
And my brain has like been programmed that way so long. And like you even said, I'll just watch a show in the middle of the day or a movie just so it feels like I was doing something. But the idea of like just sitting around or being in my backyard, just looking in, because when you think about it, me watching a movie or me sitting in my backyard staring into the sky, same amount of productivity.
Yeah. But one probably actually has a better byproduct than the other. One has
a much better byproduct, but I felt like something was done by watching a show. You know what I mean? Because it was like busy. It was
That's interesting.
stimulating.
We were just talking about this in a recent episode. Like Jess and I realized that, I don't know if she told you about this, but like I was raised in Puritanical Christianity and she was raised in evangelical, and like the difference between those two.
Oh, interesting.
Where like, this is how Jessica Laniato broke it down, but it made sense to me. She said like evangelical, it's very motivated by like guilt and shame and like fear of hell.
That's
and I was
evangelical.
Like, yeah.
Got it.
And I was like, I didn't really like experience that. Like I was never really scared of hell. I don't have like a lot of the guilt shame thing. But she goes, no, puritanical for you is striving for perfection, and it's all about shoulds. Oh. And I was like, that's so me, because even now I feel like, I don't know, Western Christianity, it's like it's behind me. It doesn't bother me anymore. But I'm very much like, I shouldn't be watching TV.
Yes.
I should be sitting outside.
Yes. You're creating these like fake laws.
Yes, that I very rigidly adhere
this is what
to. Like
great people do or whatever.
Yeah.
Perfect moms, whatever.
Perfect. Yeah. My best self would like not have watched. I cannot watch. The idea of watching 2 movies in a row is psychotic to me. Like I can't do that. I'm like, that is such a waste of time.
Right.
And actually it's had to be something that I've had to reprogram in myself of like, no, it's like okay to enjoy a movie, and there's also like great movies. But even that, when I watch a movie, I have to check all the Rotten Tomatoes and make sure it's like a critically acclaimed good movie.
Gray mentioned that. He's like, I tried to watch a movie the other day, and she was like, this doesn't meet my standards or whatever. And I was like, oh, interesting.
It's got to be like a good movie because I can't waste my time.
Got it.
And I'll watch reality TV. I used to always watch like Real Housewives and stuff, but only if I was doing something at the same time, right? Folding laundry, working on a craft, like otherwise like, oh my God, the idea of sitting on the couch watching Real Housewives is like anxiety inducing for me. Because I'm like, that is a waste of time. I should not be spending my time that way.
Right.
So that's interesting.
I think it's also too like what it makes you feel. You know what I mean? Because it's like if you feel good and healthy doing certain things, then it's like maybe it's not necessarily a bad thing. But like if you're doing it out of some sort of like, I'm supposed to be this way.
Right? Because it's like, I feel bad if I sit and watch Real Housewives on the couch because I have believed for so long that that's a bad thing to do.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
It is so weird how good and bad related to like activities. Like that's such a weird thing to do. It's like what's good and bad is how you treat people. That's about it. And then outside of that, it's just like, all right, well, what do you want? Well, what's important to you?
I get anxious about time though. So I want to like, oh God, you can ask Gray. I'm like, if on the weekend.
You can't chill. It's like activity. I
can this is another thing with the should. If we're outside, for some reason,
inside,
my mom programmed that into me. I'm like, if we're sitting outside, like in the grass, chilling, that's a good use of time.
Because that's quality.
Yes.
Right.
You're in nature. That feeds your soul. Right. Exactly. But like, oh my God, if he wants to like lounge around on the couch, I'm like losing my mind.
Right. Because you know.
I'm like, we need to be weaving baskets or something.
We need to get back and eat raw meat. Liver King. No, I'm similar. Like I get addicted. I'm not quite the same on regards to activities,
right?
But I do get the same when it comes to like quality. Like what I've decided is quality. You know what I mean? Like I get anxious when it's like we shouldn't be doing this, or we spent too much time in this location doing this, and this is not good for my brain. You know what I mean? But even though I do 50 other things that aren't good for me,
right? It's
just I've decided, and that could drive. I know. That can drive Jess crazy too, because it's like all of a sudden I've just decided in this moment that we should get out of here, and it's like
totally
what was wrong with this? And it's like you're right. I've just decided in my brain I've had enough for me, and I'm not like it's just like no real.
Do you get overstimulated like that? Or is it overstimulation too? Or are you just like I'm over it?
No, it's not overstimulation. It's like anxiety that like we're not doing something, like we're not doing something that's gonna like. Helping with a skill, or you know what I mean? It's like again, it's that performance, production.
Like what? Give an example.
Like like lounging around watching a movie.
Okay,
I'm like I'm good with it, and all of a sudden I'm not good with it, and I need to be like Ember needs to be working on her swimming. You know what I mean? It's just like because I don't want her to be the kid that can't swim when she goes to the birthday party. You know what I mean?
It's like just out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere. It's like we got to work on a swimming. God, why haven't we been doing that? And it's just like, what is happening, dude?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
It like pops up in my brain of like, we got to start working on this. This is bad. I was like, what? Chill, dude. Like, sorry, she can't read like a novel yet. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Yeah.
What do you think? Okay, this is actually a good. We'll start the debate topics. I screenshotted a lot. This is a good one. There's like certain Do you think that there is a certain age that children should learn to read by?
This is a whole thing. This is a whole thing.
I don't know what I think about it.
I don't.
Here, this is why I'm going to bring it up. There are some people that believe in the unschooling thing.
Yeah.
Where they're like, yeah, my 11-year-old doesn't know how to read, but it's like not a big deal. She'll like get it eventually.
Right.
Do you agree with that or no?
I don't know, but all I do know is that like,
because my internal thing is like, that's awful.
Right. But I also, so this kind of goes back to the puritanical evangelical Christian thing too, which, and I'm sure.
Shit.
Oh. Dude, you are, it's great. It's the same thing. He spills all the time too.
It's you. I'm actually literally haven't done this.
It's just water. It's fine.
Forever. Moving the cords out of the way.
So I guess for me is it's like, there's also like, oh yeah, you need to be this way. Because then like I knew someone from Germany and they're like, oh yeah, my kid doesn't even learn math and he's in 2nd grade.
Oh.
And they're like, yeah, it's not how the school system works. They don't even, they know that kids should just be kids playing, interacting with each other, building those skills, and then we'll teach the skills later. That's kind of
how Waldorf is in particular. They're like, they're like up to this age, we don't even teach like reading at all.
But then I remember being a kid and like in the evangelical Christian world, and I'm sure just in a lot of like certain societies.
Probably just public school culture in general.
But there's like
standardized testing and everything,
and,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, oh, I remember kids being heralded and praised because in 2nd grade, they could read all of Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. And it was like, look at this kid. And now I know that kid and we can read the same. So there is this level of like the first one to the finish. There is no finish line when you're 2. So just because you're ahead for a moment doesn't, like, you're putting so much stress on that kid. So my whole thing is like, I don't know the right answer. I just try to approach it like, you want them to be working on skills so that they can learn skills, but also not putting so much pressure on them where you're like living through them and you're trying to like make them be the best kid in class so that they're feeling all this, because kids get so much pressure and they start feeling all the weight of their parents like coming down on them. You need to be perfect, and like
you also just probably want them to love that thing, right? Like
that's another thing. You force them and then you put all your shit on them and then they're like, I hate this.
Like I know so many kids who hate reading because they just like always had a bad experience because like you're talking about, like they were never like on track with their reading, and they were like, you know, whatever, and they were made to read certain books, and they're just like, dude, it sucks. Like so many kids have that feeling about learning in general. They're like, learning sucks. But it's like, if you didn't have a shitty environment to learn in, where you were constantly under pressure and under performance expectations, like maybe you wouldn't hate learning. Cause like,
well, like we were talking about Ember, we were talking about swimming earlier, and it's like swimming's the same way with Ember. Like in the beginning, it was like she wouldn't learn. Mm-hmm. And I was just trying and trying. She was just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I was like, you're going to be because I was a swimming kid. I was like a lifeguard and I was like surfing at like 1, you know what I mean? I was like I was a water kid. So I wanted her, and I felt like there was
funny.
a lot
That's
of...
how Gray is too. I was like, no, swimming's like not my thing.
There were so many positive experiences that I had being a kid who was really into water, especially at a young age. So I was like, you're going to need this. And she would fight me on it. And then one day I just was like, forget it. We'll let it happen. And like a month later, she was like a little fish. You know what I mean? So it was like, I also had to just realize I'm putting my thing on like her trajectory in my mind of like what it should be. When in reality, it's like, just set them up and then they'll kind of find their space. Like some kid's going to excel at math and the other kid's going to get the reading. And then they're all, at some point, they're just going to be there.
That's probably true. Yeah.
You know? That's kind of how I don't know. Again, we have like babies.
I feel like as long as someone's there to like meet their needs when they need help, because I think the problem is like if a kid needs help, like let's say learning to read, and they're never getting that help, and then they're 12 and can't read. Like I feel like that's different than a parent who's homeschooling and they're like, no, like we haven't like focused on that, but like we'll focus on it eventually. Right. Like I feel like that's two different scenarios.
Like just yesterday,
different outcomes.
Yeah, I was building this little dresser thing for Ember. And I just knew in my head, if I tell her, you need to help me with this, she's going to be like, I don't want to, but I'm doing this other. So I just started building it in front of her. 2 seconds later, she's like, can I screw that in? Can I do this? Can I try that? And then we did the whole thing together. And then she was super proud of it. You know what I mean? So I'm really learning, and just to be like, there is a level of like, you got to like see where they're at first.
And you got to just show yourself doing it, right? Yeah. Like I remember Gray was telling me recently about how like with reading, it was like the biggest thing to like get your kids to read. One of the biggest things for them to see you reading. And I was like, yeah, duh. Like if they're seeing me on the phone all the time, and then I'm like, you guys need to like read more books. It's like, what the fuck is that? That's true,
actually.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah, but then that requires more work from me. So I
have to put down my phone and pick up reading. Okay, let's start with something light. Let's see.
Okay, broads, quick pause from Bekah and my husband. So, not to brag or make anyone panic, but I actually just recently got done with the majority of my family's holiday shopping. And no, I am definitely not the type of person that starts shopping in June or something like that. Bless you if you are one of those people. That is not typically, I'm normally panicking last minute. That's me, the 2 days before. But this year, I knew that the best gifts are ones that really mean something, which is why I'm going with sentimental gifts from Framebridge this year. You literally cannot go wrong. Trust me. Framebridge makes it easier than ever to custom frame everything that matters without ever leaving the house, which means you can easily give a thoughtful gift this holiday season. If you've been lucky enough to have amazing experiences with the people that you love this past year and you'd like to do something special for each of them, Framebridge is the perfect way to do that, whether it's a selfie with your best friend, your game-winning jersey, or a special anniversary dinner menu. Consider framing it with Framebridge. Give them a gift only you could give. So for both my parents and Evan's parents, they're going to be getting family photos of us and Ember because we all know that's what every grandparent really wants, right? And my sister, well, I can't say what I got framed for her because she does listen to this podcast and I don't want to give anything away, but I know she's going to love it. You're going to love it, sis. There's so much you can do with Framebridge and the process is so easy. Just send in your physical item or upload it digitally. So simple. Then you can preview it in a bunch of different frame styles to see what you like best. Once you decide, the team at Framebridge gets to work on your piece, and in a few days, it's at your door, assembled and ready to hang or wrap up and give as a gift. So get started today, frame your photos, or give someone the perfect gift. Go to framebridge.com and place your order today. That's framebridge.com. So I've been eating the best lunches lately. I swear to you, lunch used to be the meal that I really could kind of take it or leave it. I don't know, I felt very uninspired by my options for lunch. Like, what really were the options? A soggy sandwich? A sad salad? I mean, surely there was more, and I was just not getting it, right? Well, turns out that's right. Daily Harvest has been my new lunchtime go-to, and Broad's lunch just might be my new favorite meal of the day. Daily Harvest not only makes lunchtime the most delicious time of the day, but they make it easy and quick too. What they do is create delicious meals for any time of day. And by the way, they're even stored fresh in your freezer until you're ready to eat them. And when you are, simply spend a few minutes preparing and enjoy. Everything at Daily Harvest is built on organic fruits and vegetables and nothing else. No artificial colors or preservatives or added sugars. So no matter how busy you get, you can still eat a meal that's delicious and good for you. My favorite lunchtime meal right now has got to be their artichoke and spinach flatbread. Oh my God, it's perfectly crisp and it just takes a few minutes to heat up. It's so good. But I'm also a huge fan of their hearty soups because you can take them on the go on those extra busy days. Daily Harvest has you covered no matter what your day has in store. You deserve one less thing to worry about. Let Daily Harvest take care of the fruits and veggies for you. Go to dailyharvest.com/chatty to get up to $40 off your first box. That's dailyharvest.com/chatty for up to $40 off your first box. dailyharvest.com/chatty.
This is a big one.
Okay.
This is serious. A lot of people were asking this one. When is it appropriate to put up your Christmas tree?
Okay. This is my opinion, or this is like, because my whole thing is like,
give your opinion. Just give your opinion, because I know, because look, I also have the diplomatic feeling where it's like, whatever. When do you want to put up your Christmas tree? I'm not gonna like bully you if you want to put up your Christmas tree in fucking July, whatever.
Jess is a big like, let's celebrate Christmas as early as possible because she loves Christmas. She is like Christmas queen.
Now I bet you and I are of the same mentality where if you have something sweet, you want to savor it for a period of time.
Yeah, okay.
Because I feel like I love Christmas.
Right.
But if I make Christmas 3 months out of the year, I can't enjoy it as much as if Christmas is only 6 weeks out of the year.
I think it's all about letting things breathe.
Right.
Let it breathe. So like, let Halloween breathe.
Yeah.
You know, like let it have a little afterglow. I want to see maybe some of the pumpkins out for a couple days. Yeah, let's see. Let's keep the decorations up for a couple days, and then after a week, they're all kind of going away. And then Thanksgiving comes around, and you let that breathe for a week. I never understood. I'm gonna go the opposite. I never understood when people are like January 1st or December 26th. Take the lights down.
No,
I'm like, let it breathe.
Okay, Grinch. Yeah. It's like, what's the rush here?
But I'm also someone who doesn't like stress at the holidays. So I'm like, don't rush me to do anything around the holidays because this is supposed to be fun and chill. So when you're like, we got to get the lights up and it's the day after November, I'm like, dude, yeah, like, isn't this supposed to be fun?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's all about fun to me. Like, do whatever's fun.
I like that.
So if it's early, cool. If it's late,
ideally,
cool.
in your perfect world, when do you put up the tree?
Okay,
it's Evan's world. When do you put it up?
I would say, because you want to, because what's super early is like right after Thanksgiving, right?
No, that's normal. People are putting up their Christmas tree now.
You never celebrate a holiday before there's another holiday.
No, I agree. No, I am seeing so many influencers November 1st.
That's psycho. Your tree's not even going to last that long.
Fake trees.
You can't have a Christmas tree in your house while there's pumpkins on your doorstep.
No, I agree. No, people now, Evan, are putting their Christmas shit up.
That's absurd. It has to be at least. I'm like,
no, day after Thanksgiving's normal.
I'm like, give it a week, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks before Christmas.
I'm like usually the weekend after Thanksgiving because you're also coming off of Thanksgiving break. You got a week off of school and stuff. That's when we always did it. Like the weekend after Thanksgiving, you're eating your leftovers, your stuffing, and you're like, let's go get a tree. So what is that,
like December 5th?
No, it's like November 28th, probably. November 29th.
Oh, yeah, because I guess, okay. I would say I'm a December 1 guy.
Okay. I respect that.
Because for me, December is Christmas.
No, I agree.
November's not.
Yeah.
That's my personal view.
But Black Friday shopping to me always felt very Christmassy.
That's true. But I don't connect that with
This is the crazy thing, though. Like, the day after Thanksgiving, you said that's early. No, that is, like, reasonable by today's standards.
That's absurd for mine. I need everything to have its own place. I can't have things crossing over.
I agree what you say with the room to breathe, though. Like, yeah, you want... And also, you should still have Christmas decorations up for New Year's Eve, right? Like...
Yeah, exactly. Because I look at New Year's Eve as kind of like it's the afterglow.
Conglomerate. Yeah, it's helping you transition.
Give it a wide berth.
I agree. I'm with you on that.
Because New Year's to me is not its own holiday. It's a
continuation.
Christmas 2.0.
Totally.
That's mine.
It's always a little depressing.
Yeah, and then everyone starts getting anxious because they're like, what am I going to do this year? And am I going to be the best version of myself? You know what I mean?
January's like, for me.
It's my birthday month. I know
it's your birthday.
But again, I'm not a big birthday guy anyways. But yeah, it was always a bummer to have my birthday in January because it was like, no one's that into it because it's like everyone always just did Christmas.
See, my birthday is February 10th and I actually did always like that because I was like, yes, birthday's around the corner. It was like a little something to like cling to. I'm like, but in a month, like first week of January, I'm like, but in a month, it's going to be my birthday. So like that's carrying me through the winter. But yeah, I'm with you. Okay, what about this one? Runner's high, is it real or made up?
Is that different from a second wind?
Yeah. It's after you stop running.
Oh.
You don't... Well, let me Google it.
If runner's high means my knees hurt, then yes, I get runner's high. But
no, runner's high is like when you get done with the run and like your endorphins. I mean, it's not made up. It's a literal thing. Like your endorphins are surging.
Maybe I've never run long enough.
Could be.
Like I think the longest I've ever ran was like 8 miles.
What is runner's high?
Maybe this is like a marathon thing.
Oh, no.
Is it like second wind?
No. Short-lasting, deeply euphoric state following intense exercise.
Honestly, no. I mean,
really?
I like even as like an athlete kid, we'd work out 12 hours a day.
And you never felt kind of like you were floating after, like a little bit high?
No, I just felt exhausted and beat up, and I wanted to fall asleep and eat.
No, I've definitely felt like high.
No.
Like a high after.
No, I've had second winds.
That's a good feeling.
And those are amazing because it's right when you're about to give up. And all of a sudden your body just goes, Whoa.
You're like, wait, I could do like another 2 or 3 miles.
It's very weird that your body just kicks into second gear.
That is like, I have to say, I can't run anymore, dude. My knees get like too fucked up. Like I can't do it.
I'm never running again.
Dude, I used to love running.
Because you're kind of floating. You're out and about. You're in nature too, which is a very great feeling. But no, there's too much pain.
I used to, when I was in college, I got into running for a little bit. And there was one time I would run in like Newport Back Bay.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Beautiful.
So beautiful because right by UC Irvine.
I used to run on the beach too in college, and it was like amazing. But
no, I'm talking about Back Bay. You know that track that goes like 10 miles around the Newport Back Bay?
Oh, yeah.
That's beautiful. I would
Incredible.
love running on the beach too. Get in the ocean after. It'd be winter. It'd be cold.
It's the best. But like it's widely like decided by the medical community, and I don't even know that much about this, but like everyone, any doctor, like it's horrible for you. Like don't do it. Like it's so bad for your body.
Literally now I'll do like a 2-mile run, and like then like I'll try to go on another run a few days later, and like my knees and feet will just be like,
no. It just doesn't work for me.
But I used to really like it. It felt so good. And the second wind where you'd be like on mile 4 or something. You're like, all right, I'm done. And then you'd be like, wait a minute.
And there's like a thing too of like, if your brain works this way, which it kind of does for me, which is like you see what you've done and then you see the end. So it's very like palatable and like physical how the journey is going, as opposed to if you're doing reps or something, you're kind of like, okay, I guess I'm done soon. But if you're running, you're like, oh, I've made it that far and I have this far to go, so you can kind of track. Well,
you set little things to you, like you're like, okay, I'll walk when I get to that street lamp, and then you got to just like push yourself till you get to the street lamp. Like I always like seeing the miles too. Like I had my little like Nike running app, and I'd be like, oh hell
and
yeah!
Kevin Hart's on there being like, 1 more mile, and you're like, oh, okay, let's go.
So runner's high, I think it's real.
Okay. I mean, I've never had it, but I'm sure it's great. I wish I would have.
What about this? As someone without hair, but you used to have hair, how often does hair need to be washed? We're talking proper shampoo and condition.
Yeah. Since I buzzed my head, I don't have to worry about this, but
like if you were to tell Ember, you're a single dad, Ember's like, Dad, how often do I have to wash my hair?
I don't know. I mean, I just look at her and I go, you look kind of grimy. I think it's time to wash your hair. You know what I mean? Like I just do like an eye test. Answer. I just look and go, okay. You've been in the playground a lot.
Did you know I didn't shampoo my hair for 2.5 years?
I did. I've known people that have been very anti wash the hair. Yeah. And I always found that to be, probably cool. You know, probably like I'm sure there's health benefits and all those things, but I always was just like, you had to go over a real hump there. And that hump was probably pretty gross.
It's like 6 to 8 weeks.
Right. When you reach like 5, week 5, it's like woof. Like maybe you don't come out and hang out with us because like
the thing is, I had a pixie cut. I don't think I could do it with long hair. It's like too gross.
It's kind of gnarly.
Pixie cut, I do that, and then I just like wear a bandana or something over it.
But it makes sense.
And I was like still like rinsing it, and I would condition it too. It's not get smelled. I just wasn't like, shampooing.
You were just like, it was sticking to your head, to your face.
It was just really oily.
You're right.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean, there's no question. The whole shampoo thing's new, right? It's only like probably 80 years old.
Sure.
So it's like, we're not probably supposed to be doing it to some extent, but we've become so used to being so clean that it's like going through that.
Then I'm going to transition to this. Do you actually need to wash your legs in the shower? Apparently, is this like an online debate? I think it is.
Washing your legs. I would say your legs. Okay. Let's break down body parts in
Let's
general
break down
terms.
Washing. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. I mean, anything that's not covered by clothes are being exposed to the elements.
But
so
also like
my stomach, it has a covering all day. If I'm wearing shorts, then I'm getting dust and dirt on my legs.
Well, and it's also like, where are you? This is also my whole thing with showering. Like, did you walk through the mall? Like in shorts? Like your legs are probably not fucking dirty.
Right.
Like our standard of like dirty is a little wild, right?
Yeah,
like,
we're very clean.
Right.
We're very clean.
To a fault, in my opinion. But yeah, it's like maybe this is controversial. I don't actually know what people's thoughts are. I exfoliate my legs like once.
Scrub them.
Yeah, like once a week or every other week, just to like get dead skin.
Yeah.
Like, but my legs aren't usually, unless obviously I'm outside like in the mud, and then I have to like scrub my legs with like soap and a washcloth. But otherwise I don't soap up my legs in the shower unless I'm scrubbing them. Unless like I'm exfoliating. Yeah,
it's almost, well, you almost too. It's like you let the soap go down.
Sure.
And then it kind of takes care of it a little bit.
I only soap up though, like my armpits. Like I don't really like soap up everything. Yeah, exactly. Like crotch, armpits.
Let's transition into this. How are you with going to bed or waking up showering? Like if you're going to shower once in the day, where is it going to be?
Well, this is hard because I feel conflicted because I would pick morning, but only because I want to style my hair. Like I want to blow dry my hair or have my hair air dry.
Let's say the hair, you're just going to keep it in a bun all day. Like you're not doing that.
Okay, if hair is not a factor, if I'm like bald, if I don't have to do anything on my hair, or it's in a bun, I want to be clean before I get in my sheets.
Okay, so you're going to pick the night.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
That's by the way, I don't think that's the general agreement. I think most people shower in the morning.
I just feel like, and for me, it's all vibe. Like sometimes I'll feel like, but there are times where I'm like, I cannot sleep well if I don't shower right
I have a very sensitive skin to sheet feeling.
Or if you feel like your feet are even slightly dirty,
Right.
Even if I can't shower, I'll get like a washcloth and I'll like wipe my feet down. And
I used to have a buddy that would go surfing and then go to bed afterwards. And then you would see like it would sand in his bed.
Sand. Yeah.
And I was just like, bro, like
that's why we talked about this. You said you like sand camping over dirt camping, sand camping.
No, I love sand camping. I'm just saying, like,
I know,
having sand in your bed when you like lay in it, you're like,
with sand camping, it's like inevitable. There's going to be sand in your sleeping bag. Like that's so.
I can understand that.
It's gritty. There's texture. Like,
but I'm in the sand. I think if I'm in the environment, it's different.
Yeah.
If I'm at home and I got a sandy bed, that's wild.
I think I've been there. It's like, yeah. Well, also with kids too. Do you eat in your bed?
When I'm drunk.
Okay.
That's a classic. Like I'm stumbling in, like when, like so back gross. In the day when you've like come home from a late night and then you have like Del Taco waiting for you. You grab Del Taco on the way home and then you're just like eating tacos in bed. But again, no, it's not a sober activity for me.
I think like the only thing I'll eat sober in bed is if it's something like, I think in my brain, I have like rules for like clean and not clean, kind of like the puritanical thing. So I'm like, eating a bowl of grapes in bed, very clean. Right? Like it's not crummy.
It's a crumb issue. Or
but there's
meat.
also sauce or oil. Like so like pizza, it's like and oily or the sheets. That's gross. That's foul.
Ember loves to eat in bed. So like in the morning, sometimes on weekends, like I'll cook her breakfast and then she'll be like in bed and I'll like serve her like a queen.
Yeah. No, see, that's the thing. Breakfast in bed, I don't like that.
I'm not.
You get a little piece of egg on the bed.
Only way I can do it is if like I'm on vacation. Then I can kind of do it.
It's but like at home, you don't have to clean.
Exactly. But Ember will eat. So like, let's say I can make her pancakes and I serve it to her. She's sick, so she's just crumb city. And I'll get in bed that night, and it's just like, dude, what? And I'm just like, I turn the light on, and I'm just like, whoosh, whoosh, like getting all the crumbs out of my bed.
Dude, we do snacks during like books before bed, and like the kids will get on the bed, and we'll do snacks. Yeah, and then there's like popcorn pieces
everywhere.
Like, and then exactly, Gray does like that, and then I'm like, it's all over the floor.
I'm like too tired to like whatever.
So what's the consensus? Do you need to soap up your legs and wash them in the shower? I feel like no.
It's a leg to day basis. If you're outside running around in the dirt, maybe. But if you're just like living normal life with pants on, probably not. I don't think
so either. Okay. Is being hot better than being smart? Would you rather be
1,000%.
You think being hot's more advantageous?
Here's why.
Tell me why.
I'm taking the stance of like people that are like exceptionally attractive. Like,
okay, we're talking about like
exceptionally
the people
attractive
where
people.
You're like, oh my god, like, that person was perfect.
Exactly. When you see a person, you're like, that person is stunning.
Yeah.
Right. I'm talking about those people, not just generally attraction, and that's all relative. But when you see people and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. Right. No, the person where you're like, did you see that guy? Or like, did you see that girl?
Exactly.
Like, whoa. Yeah.
I have found that like people that are exceptionally attractive, they tend to like float. And they don't have a lot of stress in there. They're kind of just like, oh, this worked out for me, and I got invited to this thing, and everything worked out, and they took care of this for me, and they gave me this opportunity, and this. Or as opposed to smart, it's like to work hard, Versus like if you were just born exceptionally good looking.
But this is the thing: you're also talking from the sample pool of exceptionally good looking people who are also famous, and therefore
I'm
not
talking about famous people.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I've known people who are exceptionally attractive who are not famous at all. Okay. But they just tend to be like, yeah, it all just kind of works out. Like they're just like, it's crazy. I got invited to go on this amazing yacht, and then I went to this cool thing, and then I got invited on this private jet for this guy who owns this company, and now he really wants me to work with him. And yeah, I don't know, he's cool. He's a nice guy, or whatever it is. Like things just kind of like float and work out for them because I think there's like this. People just want to be around stuff that's exceptional. You know what I mean?
You should read Emrata's book. because it's really interesting because she like is talking about that. Yeah, where she's just like, yeah, this like Chinese billionaire like it said he'd pay me $25,000 to go to the Super Bowl with him.
There you go. You know what I mean? And it's like, even if it's not sexual or any even sort of something like that, it's just attraction.
People want to be around
people just want to be around like stuff
people.
that blows them away.
Right.
So I think there's this level of like,
and be seen with people and things like that too, right? It's like you want to be associated with something, things that are beautiful, people that are beautiful.
So I'm sure everything has its own struggles, but I do feel like you just have to work harder if you're just like, if it's smarts or super attractive, it's like, super duper attractive people, I think they're in the door already. Versus smarts, you have to prove.
I'm also like, what are we talking about with smart? Like, are we talking like book smart? Are we talking like logical? Or are you just talking about being a total airhead? Because you could be a total ditz and be super hot, and you could have a pretty miserable life because people could just like use you.
For sure, right? There's definitely like. There's definitely downsides,
like
I'm sure.
It's kind of like, I would kind of look at it like being a dumb person with a lot of money or being like, you know, a hot person that's really dumb, you know? Sort of like this currency.
I think every one of these scenarios has a downside.
Sure.
But if I had to choose, I feel like if I'm just exceptionally attractive, I just have to work less to like get opportunities.
To be honest, I also looked at the downside of being exceptionally smart, because also if you're exceptionally smart like that, can be kind of miserable.
Yeah, because then everyone else around you and I would imagine for you, everyone else around you feels like they can't even keep up with you.
No, that's not what I meant by that, actually. No, I meant like you're like how they say ignorance is bliss. It's like when you understand things, that can be kind of like miserable if you're very smart.
Oh, if you knew the secrets of the world, that would be haunting because you're like, I know too much.
Right.
Right?
What about instead of smart, what if you did rephrase it and did the old biblical tale? What about being like infinitely wise? I feel a little more different about that one. Because I do feel like wisdom will just like create a path to like a more perfect life. Because if you're wise, then you would have more like peace in your life, presumably, right?
But then you got a bunch of people coming to you constantly with their problems.
I love that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Like giving people advice.
You like giving people advice.
I would choose, if it was between being infinitely hot and infinitely smart, I'd pick infinitely hot. If it was between infinitely hot and infinitely wise, I would choose infinitely wise.
Interesting.
Because also if you're wise and people are coming to you, you'd also know how to be wise enough to know how to handle hordes of people coming to you for your wisdom.
That's very true.
You would know what you need in life.
Yeah.
And you would know what other people need in life if you were wise. You would like have the secrets to living a good life.
That is true. But I'm also kind of like, bliss sounds awesome. Right? It's like the people in the Matrix that don't know there isn't a Matrix.
Right.
They're just living their life.
Right.
And then the second they get out of the Matrix, that's when the stress happens.
Right.
And they're freaking out all the time and they're trying not to die from the robots. And there's something about, if like you're stuck in the Matrix, you don't know you're in the Matrix, you're just like, life's good, baby.
I don't know very many people that are actually like that though.
I've known a couple.
Yeah, have you?
And they're just like, what are we eating today?
Right.
They're just like, that sounds fun. Let's do that fun thing. Not stressed at all. Not like contemplating. And I would be like contemplating my existence. And they'd just be like, why are you even thinking about that?
Or have
I'm
they
like,
just unlocked the key to living in the moment? Because it also sounds like they're hyper present.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So maybe just don't be neurotic.
I pick whichever
that's my
one
message
makes
to
me,
myself.
I pick whichever one makes me less anxious.
Yes, whatever one makes me less stressed and less anxious is the one I choose.
Okay, well, we really tore that one apart. Okay, what is this? I just had to put this one. This one is a more serious one, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what does this person mean? Have you heard this before? Is inheritance fair? Should people inherit their parents' or their grandparents' property and things?
That's a weird question. I don't
Isn't
even.
it?
It's like, I
I'm
don't
like,
know.
what do you
I guess
mean?
if it's
What's
yours,
the
you could do whatever you want with it. So
right, what's the alternative?
It's not about you.
That the government takes your parents' and grandparents' stuff and distributes it? I guess so.
Maybe. I just look at it like it's not up to the person inheriting. It's up to the person who's giving it. So I guess it's kind of like saying, should you be allowed to give a gift, I guess?
Well, I guess then that begs the question, do you think we really own things?
I don't know this question. This is bizarre. Clearly this person's best friend just got a massive inheritance and they're bitter as fuck about it. Like that's what's going on.
It is an interesting question though.
And they're like, listen, Kevin, you should give some of that money to me. And they're pissed at their parents that their parents didn't give a bunch of money. That's what this is. That's because this question is so weird.
It is interesting to think if you died, you wouldn't know where your inheritance went. So what if it was a thing when the things that they have amassed when they're alive, when they die, if it just got distributed?
Unless your kid's still alive and your kid's like, what the hell?
They didn't do shit for it?
That's true, right? Like that's the classic archetype, but.
Do you think that you would do, like, okay, let's say that you were like a billionaire right now. Mm-hmm. You're a billionaire.
What would I do with my money if I died?
No. What would you do, like, specifically with Ember?
Oh.
I thought about this. It's an interesting thing to think about.
I've heard, I don't remember who, but I've heard like people talk about this, like what they do. And the one that stuck the most out to me was like they unlocked things at certain accomplishments or certain works. So it's like, oh, when you graduate college, I'll give you this. And that you could either spend this on a house or to start a business or something. And then once you work this long at your job, I'll give you this. Or like it was a way to be like, I want to support you, but I also don't want you to be a victim to maybe opulence or something, you know? So I think for me is like, if I had like amassed a crazy wealth, I'd be like, okay, I want to set you up for success, but I also don't want to like,
let's just arbitrarily, I guess,
like $20 for
no, like,
the first 10
do you
years.
think that you would cap it like at a certain amount that you would like, you know, even if you unlocked certain achievements, would there be like a cap of like how much money you would give to
if
your
I'm
kid?
still alive? Because I mean, I'm hoping I'm still alive because we're talking about like if I'm 90 and I die and then my kid's like 60, right?
Oh, that's
different.
true.
But if I'm watching my kid's life, I think that's how it determines. So if I'm watching my kid be responsible and care for people and all those things, then I'm like, you're going to get more because I know you're not going to squander it.
Sure.
But if I see you're wild and causing a lot of problems, then I'm like, I'm not going to give you a bunch of money because it might hurt you.
Yeah, you're not responsible enough to handle this responsibility.
I think that would be my like mindset with it. What about you?
I don't know. I like something that my dad always said with like investments, where he's like, I'm not going to ever invest. He told Gray this when they're talking about the gym stuff. My dad was like, well, I'm never going to like invest in someone's thing just because they're like my kid. Like I have to think it's like a good idea and a good business opportunity. Otherwise, like I'm not going to do it. And I thought that was kind of like an interesting mentality where he's like, well, if I believe in it, I'll invest in it. And if I don't, I won't. It's not personal, but it's
that
just like,
sense.
And I'm like, that to me is like, I do actually kind of like that. Because then it's like you as my kid could come to me with a proposal.
It's like a very real world.
Right. You can come to me as a proposal. I'm open to like investing or helping you build your dream.
Yeah.
But like if I think it's like feasible.
Right.
But then there might be a part of me that goes like, oh yeah, I do want to help you with your dream. I'll throw you, $20,000.
Whatever the relativity of your money is. Yeah.
Right. But I'm not going to like just hand over $10 million when you want to start this new business or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm a billionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's all just about like if your kid's like respectful and loves people and takes care of people and works hard and you're like, oh, okay, like, but like if your kid is struggling and not doing those things and not, I don't know.
Well, it's also like the principle of what you do with a little, you'll do with a lot. And I do really believe that. Like 100%. I do feel like if you can't manage, like granted, if you're like living in poverty, it's difficult to manage money. But I'm like, okay, you could see how even someone who has like a $50,000 salary.
Yeah.
You can see, I've seen it in my friends how 5 different people will handle a $50,000 salary different,
I also think too, if I made a ton of money, I would be more focused on generosity over like even like how well they're doing with like their businesses. I think I'd be more like, oh, are you going to help these people? You know what I mean? Like, cause it's like, if money's no problem anymore, then it's like, why do we like, I would want to help. So it'd be like, oh, if my kid's going out, I'd want to put my kid's brain in like, making a bunch of money is not the priority about being a human here. It's like, how about generosity, love, helping those in need? Like, I think I'd lead more into those.
I think I'd be giving my money to anyone who has projects that I think are like benefiting the world.
Sure,
so it's like if my kid is doing that, then I'll give them the money.
But if he's like, I just started a hedge fund, Dad, I'd be like, okay, well, I don't know if that's exactly what I want. Maybe, I don't know.
I feel very passionate about this, and I've talked about it on The Bachelor. What do you think? Like, I feel very passionate about kids living with their parents at a certain age. And I feel like
staying with their parents.
Yes, like I feel there's certain circumstances.
Well, I told Ember she's gonna live with me forever, so that's fine.
Yeah,
I was like, you're gonna.
That's
live with me
what my mom said until I was a teenager.
And then she's like, get out of here.
Yeah, my mom said that when she's like, I hope you guys live with us for like a long time. And then when I was 18, my mom was like, bye bye.
Yeah, please leave.
Off to college you go.
In Spain.
Board exchange program.
Yeah, we're sending you away to boarding school.
Yeah, that changed a little bit as I got older. But okay, no, like obviously there's scenarios. I'm not talking about like when you lose your job, have to move back in with your parents.
But like, just like if you could plan your trajectory.
Okay, this is why I'm saying it. Gray's ex, she was with a guy who his parents were very wealthy, owned like fancy restaurants in LA, whatever. He was like manager of their restaurants. They're like 30, not his parents, like him. He was like 30 or around that age. And he like still lived with his parents and also like managed the restaurants and everything. And when I heard that, I was like, that is to me, it's a big red flag. Like, and his friends would all come over and they'd like, use the sauna, whatever. And Gray was like, whatever, like it's a sick house. Like, why would he not? I felt very passionately. And then of course, when they ended up breaking up, it was like, turns out he was like a really big spoiled entitled brat. But I felt very passionately of like, I felt like it was a red flag that this 30-year-old, even though his parents have got a sweet place and all that, is still living with his parents and also like working for them and all that. I felt very passionate about it. I know people feel very differently. What's your take on that?
I think, again, it's all about like intentionality.
Right.
So if you were like talking to your parents and you're like, hey, you mind if I live with you while I save money because I want to do this, and this with it. And it's like the living costs in LA are insane. And so I'll barely be able to survive and I'll waste 10 years just trying to live, whatever. I understand that. I think if you're
Would you make your kids pay rent as a 30-year-old?
Again, it's all about the convo.
Sure.
So if they're like, I'm going to medical school, whatever, I'm working my butt off and I have no money, but I'm like in school or I'm like starting this business and I'm working 12 hours a day or 13 hours a day and I just can't, I need every dime to survive.
It's context.
I get that.
It's context.
But if it's like, yo, I just surf all day and like, this is sick to be able to like not pay rent, or then I'd be like, okay, it's probably time to.
What if they're even like, yeah, I'm a high powered attorney, but like it's sweet to not have to pay for where I live.
So like if you're like on your own and you could totally be self-sustained, and then I'm like, okay, you're milking me,
Right.
But if you're just like, it's all about intentionality for me. So, but there probably reaches an age, Again, this is all saying that everything is okay,
of course. But what is the age then? Because it's like, okay, 30, like 30 is kind of like, that was kind of my thing. I'm like, 30's getting up there. Like, are you going to get married and move in with your kids on your parents' property? Which some people do and they're very happy.
That's different. Yeah.
So I guess that works for some people.
That's different though. Like there's a property, if we're talking about property, like where I live.
No, he lived in the guest house.
I can't say a property.
He lived in the guest house.
I see both sides. I see it's really hard for that person to go, I'm going to refuse this amazing offer.
Yeah, maybe that's my own pride.
I think that's what it is too with me, because
I'm like, I would not live there.
Right. I have the same kind of initial feeling you have, which is like, you get out of the house. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, wait a second. That's just because I didn't have that option, maybe.
Sure.
And if my parents said, we have a beautiful 5,000 square foot guest house for you to live in and fully furnished and anything, I'd be like, to turn this down is going to be very difficult. Yeah. So like maybe if I had I can only speak to what I know, which is I didn't have that option.
Maybe it's a weird thing where I feel like maybe this is something I need to get over. I feel like I owe someone something, right? So it's like, even if it wasn't my parents, if someone's letting me live in the house on their estate or whatever,
that's our own.
I'm sort of like, well, then I have to like give them something. Like I'd much rather just like work my ass off to like own the thing that I have. But I guess that's kind of a weird thing.
If they aren't stressed about it and you're not stressed about it, it's probably just our insecurities talking about like, we gotta show that we're killing it or whatever.
How that is though, like what I always get very nervous about of that thing of like, then everything's copacetic and then a year and a half later and conflict arises and then it's like, well, we've been letting you live on our house for the past 18 months.
Yeah. If they're resenting you for it, it's probably time to get out.
It's time to move on.
1 second, that guy just pulled up.
Okay.
I just give me like 3 minutes?
Yep.
Apologies.
Okay, what do you think of this? What do you think if Gray and I did a limited edition Patreon series where we do Bible study with Bekah and Gray, where we go over Bible stories and passages each episode?
I like the idea of someone. Well, I guess Gray studied.
He was a religious studies
so he
major.
knows a lot about this stuff.
I know way more than him.
Straight up, I know, for someone who was raised in Christianity, I know the least amount. Like Jess will tell me Bible stories and I've never heard of.
You guys didn't do like, I don't know, family Bible studies together?
It was not really. I think that's where
so your parents didn't really love God.
I don't think they love God at all, actually. No, I just always was like, I didn't, I'll be honest with you, it didn't stick. Okay.
Really?
It didn't stick. I'd never had any interest.
No, but what about like the stories?
Yeah, I just in one ear out the other a little bit, So like if you wanted to do a Patreon with me, I'd be bad because I'd be like, I didn't
ask to do a Patreon.
No, that's what I'm getting. Next question, please. No, I'm saying what I'm trying to get at is that like you guys would know a lot.
Right. That's true.
So like from someone who doesn't know a lot, I'm like, I would learn a lot. That's for sure. Because as someone who was in it, he wasn't even in it and he probably knows much more than I do.
Do you know the story of Ehud?
Never heard that name before.
Okay. It's not a popular Bible story. That's my favorite Bible story ever.
Oh, you're like an underground. You like the underground stories?
This is the story. Do you want me to tell it to you right now? I'm going to tell it to you right now. Don't care if you don't want me to. Ehud,
I was like, is that a question?
Okay. There was as always, there's always a long line of kings oppressing the people. This is something in the Bible. Corrupt kings.
Every Bible story is a king.
Nothing changes, right?
Right.
Long line of corrupt kings. God is going to send someone to free the Hebrew people from a bad king, okay?
Okay.
Get this. He picks, it specifically says this, a left-handed man. But here's why. You'll find out why. So Ehud goes to the king. The king's name was Eglon. The Bible specifically says, so he goes in to the king's chambers or whatever. And the reason God picked a left-handed man is because they would check, like if you had a sword, they would pat you down on your left side.
Oh, so then the sword was on the right.
Yes. So it goes in the chamber. Then he says, King, like, can you have all your servants leave? Like, I have a special message from God for you. He was like a prophet. Right. And so the king's like, get out of my chambers. He says, this is the message from God. Pulls out the sword. And then Ehud escaped out the window. Then it says that the servants waited to the point of embarrassment to go back into the chamber. So I don't know if they thought that they were having sex or something or what, but they were like, King, like what's going on? It says in the Bible, they waited to the point of embarrassment and then they broke down the doors and then the king was lying there dead.
2 questions. First one is, hey, how do you hide a sword? Okay, like just because it's on your
like a dagger.
Just because it's on your other side, you can't
like
see
a dagger.
Okay, so it's a little knife maybe or something.
A knife, yeah.
Second of all, what's the message behind this?
Well,
like if this is supposed to be a message, like what is the message?
There's so many stories in the Bible that don't have messages. What about the message of the fucking daughters getting getting Lot drunk and then sleeping with him? What's the point of that? Like there's tons of stories like that in the Bible.
It's just a random,
it's just a story.
I guess the Bible was put together by men, so they just like that story. They're like, dude, look at this one. Have you seen this one? This one's insane. Put that in there. And they're like, dude, you're right. Dude, that one's insane. Put it in. I'm like, why? What does this have to do with like God? And they're like, doesn't matter, it's just a dope story. They're like, okay, cool, next. Like that's I guess that's what I hear.
He was a lefty.
Couldn't find it. You know what I mean? That's just the stuff that you're like, clearly I don't even know what's going on with half of the Bible anyways. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Okay, broads, one more quick pause. So when thinking about the perfect gift this holiday season, chocolates are nice and sure, a cozy sweater can be good, but have you considered giving the gift of health? I mean, giving someone the tools they need to get that insight into their health with the help of Everlywell, which, like I said, it gives them the insight and knowledge to make informed decisions about how they can best take care of themselves. If you haven't used Everlywell for yourself yet, it is the coolest at-home health company that basically puts the power back in your hands. You can use one of Everlywell's 30 different at-home tests to find out specifics about your health and body. Just pick the test you want, and when it arrives at your door, collect your sample following the instructions, then send it off using the included shipping label. Results are reviewed by a physician and are sent to your device in just a matter of days. You can even send them straight to your personal care provider if you want to share them to create a care plan together. Everlywell has so many tests to choose from sleep and stress tests to men and women's health tests to cholesterol tests to STD testing. So many options. You have to check out their website. There's really something for everyone. The gift of health has never been more easy to share than it is this holiday. For listeners of the show, Everlywell is offering a discount of 20% off an at-home lab test at everlywell.com/chatty. That's everlywell.com/chatty for 20% off your next at-home lab test. everlywell.com/chatty.
Back to debates. Oh my God. By the way, Gray called me while you were while you were inside, and he was like, yeah, I was giving Evan shit because he gives me shit about tangents, and then you came into the episode hard talking about kitchen remodels.
Oh yeah, the last one we did. Yeah, that was too good.
Okay, what about this one? All right, do you want to go something a little more light or a little more serious? Like, and we're not talking like serious, obviously, but like something really dumb or like something a little more like, ooh, hot take.
Give me just, can you just ask them both and then we'll choose? Okay.
Do you want to debate, do we have free will or sleep with top sheet or no top sheet? Pick one.
Wow. Wow. The free will thing to me, I think that's like tied to religion in a way. So it's kind of like, for me, if I don't believe in religion, then it's kind of like, or is it more like the questions like, oh, is just the way that we're born and the way that we're raised means we don't have free will or something?
I guess it's like, I guess you wouldn't have to be in religion. It could just be sort of like, is there just like a path that the universe will take? And like, is it possible to deviate from that path?
Got it. I say we go top sheet. Because I'm kind of like, I don't know. I mean,
I know. I kind of feel the same way. People say like, no, we don't have free will.
I think if this was like a Christian podcast, that would be a good debate. Because it'd be like, well, what is it? Are we chosen or not? That's the question.
Predestined or not?
Exactly.
Wait, when you were a Christian, did you believe that you were predestined or no?
Well,
predestination's like kind of a wild idea.
I believed free will because that's kind of like what was preached. I think evangelical, right? Here, I'm going to tell you something and then you choose whether to believe it. But then I remember one time, me and a couple friends, like someone was talking about this and we're like, well, let's look in the Bible. What does it say? And there was like literally way more evidence that predestination. And we were like,
God has written you into the book.
Yeah, and we're like, this is kind of dark. So we were like, maybe not, But
then I always debated with that. I was like, okay, but was those things that point to predestination in the Bible, is it predestination or is it God already knowing the future and already knowing that you're not going to choose?
Same thing, right?
I don't know.
I guess if it's out of our control,
or he already knows. Or is it in our control, but God would already know the outcome of what we would do with our free will? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like we all have free will, but God would already know with your free will you would not choose him.
But if he created us, then he knew what he was doing from before we were born.
There lies the debate. Like, is that cruel? Because he knew when he created you that you were not going to choose him and knew you were going to go to hell or whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah, I do not know.
Did you believe in hell?
Oh yeah.
Were you scared of hell? Like Jess?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a thought I had regularly, but I was definitely like aware of like 90% of what I'm trying to do is not go there. Like I'm trying to get my insurance plan locked up real good.
My goals are to avoid that.
Okay. Top sheet.
Okay.
So
I could do both.
Well, it's interesting. I always sleep with a sheet at a hotel, right? When you go to a hotel, there's a sheet and a blanket, right? So you just do it. At home, I never did it. Until recently, we got some new sheets. And in the packet was a top sheet. And
really? You never did it up until recently?
Up until recently.
So would you do a duvet?
Yeah, just a
duvet cover?
Just a duvet cover.
Here's my thing, though. How often did you guys wash your sheets? Just be honest.
I try to do like once a week, once every 2 weeks.
Probably more realistic once every 3 weeks, huh?
Yeah, I think selective memory says once a month.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If it looks clean, it is clean kind of thing,
I mean, if there's no crumbs in it, no sand in it,
Exactly.
Whatever. I mean, that is also one of those things right now where people are like, ew, but I feel like once a month is like, if you're not dirty, like
I also
there's not like bodily fluids on the sheets, obviously, like gross.
I wash the sheets when I'm cleaning the house. Like doing a thorough clean, top to bottom.
Sure.
So if I happen to be around a lot more and I'm doing deep cleans, but if it's not, then it could be months because I'm just like working a lot or something.
We have housekeepers that come once a week and they change the sheets every time they come.
Oh, there you go.
So that now I've been in the once a week habit, but I've actually started telling them change it every other week because to be honest, now our dryer doesn't work. So when we wash our sheet, well, we could get it fixed. We just decided not to and started hanging up our clothes, which has actually been great. I love it because it keeps me on top of laundry. Because when you pull the clothes out of the dryer and they just go in a basket and then you forget if the basket's clean or dirty and it gets mixed in with the dirty and you wash them all over again and yada. When we have to hang up our clothes to dry. And so we hang them on like a little rack and then we immediately take them off the rack and put them away. So it like keeps us in this like cycle. So I thought it was going to be a big pain in the ass, but it actually keeps like the rhythm of like the laundry like way smoother.
Interesting.
But
you don't use a dryer. Is that like a philosophy? Or
no,
is
like
it
our
just
dryer broke.
Oh, got it.
And like we could buy a new one or fix it, and we were just like, oh, what a pain in the ass. Let's just start like in the meantime, let's like hang our clothes.
And you won't fix it for 3 years probably, because that's how those things go.
I honestly don't think we will. It's been like 8 or 9 months now, and it has not been that like. I'm telling you, I actually like the rhythm of putting the clothes away. Like it's like
I mean putting the clothes up.
No, I mean like because I hang them up, I don't then throw them in a basket after they're done drying. Like once they're done drying, I fold them and put them away because it like doesn't make sense to do anything else. They're like not wrinkly because they've been hanging. They're all perfectly crisp and dry. So I immediately we immediately fold them up and then put them away. So like, I mean, I like the philosophy behind not using a dryer, but it actually like really keeps me in the rhythm of like drying clothes, immediately putting them away. Because before we would do the whole piles and baskets and they'd get mixed up and you'd neglect it. And then you'd be like, are these clean? I don't fucking know. I threw dirty stuff in there. Let's wash it again.
Yeah.
So
that's me with Ember's clothes.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know what any of this is.
That's real. Because then you also pack clean clothes in a bag when you go places. Then you come home and you're like, the bag's clean. And then,
No, there's
like,
half of it's clean, half of it's dirty because she took off some of it and used some of it. And then it's like, this is folded, but it smells like real. Bad. You know, I don't know.
That's so real.
Or like,
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, every third thing is like bad. But yeah. And then the socks, there's no matching socks anymore. Yeah. They're all gone.
So anyway.
Top sheet.
But then,
go ahead.
I told them to stop washing it so much because the only annoying thing about hanging things to dry is the sheets. We have to like put them over a couch.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like
hanging a sheet is major.
You need like a clothesline, but if it's wet outside, you can't really do that. So we like have to put it over the couch, and it's just annoying. So now we only have them changed it every other week because otherwise it's just like too annoying to deal with.
Interesting.
Because we don't have the dryer. So anyway.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, hanging the sheet is a whole nother world.
Oh, but also I don't like doing the duvet because how annoying is it to wash the duvet and then put it back on the comforter?
One of the great struggles.
It's annoying. You have to get inside it.
Redoing it.
Yes.
I've gotten better at it the more I've done it, but like my duvet cover will sit next to my bed for weeks because I'll be like, oh, I should really put that on, whatever.
I know. That's the beauty of the top sheet. You don't have to wash the duvet that much.
That's actually very true. And also, this is a surprise with the top sheet because I always thought, what's the point of a top sheet? Before the top sheet, I was kind of sweaty in bed sometimes. Like I'd get overheated and then I'd be kind of have one leg in, one leg.
No,
the top sheet regulates the temperature
for summer,
in a way that I didn't realize. Yeah. So since I've been doing top sheet,
did you not do top sheets?
As a kid, I didn't have this problem. It's more like as I got older.
No, but did you not have a top sheet as a kid?
No.
I always had a top sheet as a kid.
Oh.
Because my parents loved me.
Yeah, my parents didn't love me. I had like some raggedy old thing.
No, but I would go to a friend's house and I'd be like, they don't have a top sheet. And I was kind of like, ooh.
That's a little gross. I get that. Because the top sheet kind of like separates.
It's a buffer. And you can also like, not everyone has a duvet or like comforted with a duvet cover.
That's
Sometimes
true.
You're like sleeping with a blanket and you're like,
how often do people really clean their blankets?
Exactly.
I don't clean them a lot.
Even as a kid, I was kind of like, this kind of grosses me out.
Well, they always say too, when you go to a hotel, like do not,
touch
like
the blanket.
Those blankets could be months of being used and people don't wash them. But they do wash the sheets.
Right.
But since I'm only like 3 months into the top sheet game and sweating problem gone.
Yeah.
Like where I wake up too hot.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. So I'm a big fan now.
It's just less work too. I think it's like you don't have to wash the duvet.
Yes.
If you have the top sheet, really.
Although you can kind of wake up like in a like jujitsu hold with that thing,
true.
where it's like in between your leg.
Well,
it's
also
like,
it's very annoying because if they come out from under the mattress, then suddenly they're everywhere, and you're like, what?
But then if it's too tight, you're like in prison. So it's like that. You got to pull it out a little bit. But then if it's too much, you're like in a jujitsu hold. It's a delicate dance.
Let me ask you this. I realized recently, I don't know when I became this person. Do you make your bed every day?
We're in this. This is interesting. You're asking these questions because I, for the longest time, didn't.
Yeah.
And for the last couple months, I try to make it almost every day. And it's like a mind thing.
Dude,
I like it a lot.
I don't know when I started doing it. I think maybe in the last couple years.
Right.
It's been in the last few years. Maybe it was before. I really don't know. I used to never do it. I used to think it was stupid. Sometime in the last few years, I started doing it. I do it every day. And I love it.
There's something about walking by your bedroom.
Yes.
or walking into your bedroom for a second to grab that thing and seeing your room look like that is extremely calming to me. Mm-hmm. If it's in shambles, it almost just looks anxious to me. So then I kind of like walk away from it. But when I walk in and it looks nice, I just feel like, I'm relaxed.
I agree. Also, my mom always said, and I thought this was dumb when I was a kid, but now I get it. My mom would say, if you make your bed in the morning, when you come home at the end of the day, if you haven't accomplished anything, you have like a nice bed that you did in the first morning, in the beginning of the morning to come home to.
Also, getting into a made bed.
You fold it back.
You feel like I'm successful. It feels like I am
King.
a CEO.
You fold it back. Also with the top sheet, that's nice too. When you fold it back, there's the top sheet on the duvet, and you're like, okay, you're Better Homes and Gardens cover like over
4
here.
Seasons. Yeah.
Also, though, when I make my bed first thing in the morning, it does motivate me to continue to pick up. Like I'll pick up the clothes off the floor. It carries me through.
Yeah, because if you see the bed perfectly made and there's clothes on the floor,
right, you're like,
that doesn't match.
Fix that.
But if the bed's in shambles, you're like, fuck it.
This was my biggest power move, I remember. Like when I used to date and like if I would spend the night at someone's house, and especially if they had to like go to work in the morning or something like that, or like leave for some reason, which for some reason, it's like that definitely happened to me like a number of occasions, which is, I guess that's normal. Someone has anyway.
But you weren't married, so how's that possible?
Oh, right. Well, I just said I just said I was spending the night. I didn't say we were having sex.
That's true. That's true.
Which I'm not gonna lie. There were a couple scenarios where I did actually spend the night at someone's house and did not. Up. Yeah, or didn't. I was just like sleeping over.
Just tired. Okay.
With our mutual friend.
Right.
I did that like multiple times. Like spent the night at his house.
Interesting.
And slept in his bed.
Okay.
And
just
that
buds.
was it.
Okay.
It's like that seems like that's so Christian. It's a very like Christian thing,
I love
you know.
Yeah.
But then in the morning, this is my flex. I would like make the bed like perfect, like military. Like I would make the bed like perfectly, and it always got a comment. Because
you wanted to leave them with a thought in their brain that
they'd come home that day and then be like, "Oh my god!" Like,
I do the same type of thing. I do the same type of thing for Jess.
Yeah, really?
When she leaves, let's say for a night to go somewhere, when she comes back, the house, you could lick the floor. Mm-hmm. And part of me, I think a larger part that I'm willing to admit is for like that shock factor.
Oh, yeah.
Of like, I want her to be like, dang. Wow. And be like, honestly, this is how I live. It's no big deal. It's just like, she's like, I never do every day.
This is my lifestyle.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, if I was single, this is what you get. You know,
I used to do that. I loved doing that for my nanny families. Like if they would go out on a date, I would like light candles, you know, like make sure the room smelled all good, you know, and I'd be like sitting, like reading a magazine, and the guy, I'm like, oh, hello,
just
like
just neuroscience 328.
There's
whole thing.
There's classical music playing in the background. I'm like, oh, just this ambiance.
Just reading this medical journal for pediatrics for your kid. Oh, interesting. No. Oh, hi. Didn't even know you were here. Meanwhile, you're like staring outside. You're like, here they come.
Oh my God. I'm smoking weed in their backyard.
Yeah. You rush in.
I had a nanny family that told me like they didn't care if I smoked weed.
Wow.
And I went on, they took me to Hawaii with them. It's so funny because I was telling you earlier, I was like, I love being a nanny. And I'm like, yeah, my nanny family let me smoke weed. They took me to Hawaii.
That sounds pretty lit.
They took me to Hawaii with them. And like the first thing we did when we got to Hawaii is like the dad like bought a bong, and we like got to the Airbnb. They were like with a couple of their couple friends too. And I like sat and like hit the bong with him. And it like wasn't creepy. Like they were just hanging out. They're just like
if they were to give you a glass of wine or something. Yeah, like that's how they were treating it.
Yeah. Well, and then that too, they'd be like, oh, you want some wine? And like they were so chill.
That is wild.
But they were like 32, you know, and I was like 22, and it was just kind of like,
let's all hang.
Yeah. Wow. But it wasn't creepy at all.
That's cool.
Isn't that interesting?
I guess I can't smoke weed very good.
Yeah.
So the idea of like just casually ripping bongs.
You guys should get a nanny. So you can like bring on vacations and stuff. You should.
Take care of our child. We'll be gone for weeks.
Bro, my family, they took me on vacation. Like they weren't like really that wealthy. Like, I mean, obviously they had enough. Okay, I say that.
Yeah,
but like obviously they had enough money to bring me. But like they brought me along, and it was just like, it's not like I watched. They were just like, hey, we're going to go out on like some dinner dates and stuff. Maybe like when we're at the beach, you could take her back to nap.
Oh, interesting.
And you can just kind of like be on hand to like help with stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing I would want a nanny for is for the dinners.
Totally.
You know, some of the dinners where you're like, okay, let's have a couple date nights on this so that we're not always in kind of like kid mode. Or if you go
out with friends, you know, or if you go on a vacation with a family with friends, then you're like, oh, can you watch the kids? Like, well, we all go out this evening.
Yeah.
Pretty chill.
That is chill.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's not actually.
It's never even been a consideration for me or anything I even thought about.
I mean, I got paid like $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And then they were
like babysitting rate.
Yeah. And then they were just like, come with us and we'll like pay for your food and your flight and like your room, which like when you really add it up, like if you're buying all that stuff anyway, it's like not that much more. Right. And then for me as a 21-year-old, I was like sick.
Right.
22-year-old, I was like, sure.
Dang.
I know, right?
That sounds like a great job though. Like as a 22-year-old, just to be like flown, like to be a nanny for a wealthy family. That sounds pretty sick.
Even when I wasn't a nanny for wealthy families, like I loved it. Yeah. It was so chill. You eat their food, you hang out at their house.
Yeah, you kind of have all the amenities.
You can show up in sweatpants and like no one cares.
That's true.
You're just hanging out with kids all day. You get to watch a movie with them every now and then, chill, eat snacks, hang out in the backyard, go swimming.
Dang.
And the great thing about being a nanny too, I'm really selling this one.
Yeah.
The great thing is because since that's your only job, you have no other work stress or responsibilities. When you're there chilling with the kids, it's not like when you're a parent now where you're like, oh, I gotta like check my emails.
Yeah, right.
You're literally just there
chilling.
to chill with them.
It's a great job too if you're like got other things going on like school or like whatever where you're like I can do my homework while they're napping.
Exactly.
Or like, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And like when I was not in school, like I literally when they were napping and stuff, I would just like fold laundry and watch TV, make dinner, kick it. You can go on a long walk.
That's good parenting training for sure.
Kind of. It's being a nanny is like so much more chill.
Yeah, but at least you get the skills of like not being afraid your kid's gonna like fall over and die every second. Because that was like the first year for me. It was like the fear of like my child is a delicate doll, and you're always just like, no, you're terrified of everything because you don't know anything.
That's true. You also have like different. You watch the parents you're working for also like fuck up, like just in the natural ways. Like I remember,
I want to do that. That was cool. That's a weird thing. I don't want to do that. Like you kind of are.
No, but even like you said, the fragile thing. Like I took care of a baby. I started taking care of her when she was 6 weeks old, which is kind of crazy. Like 6 weeks, that's so tiny.
Right.
And I had never taken care of a baby. This was the chill family that were the potheads. I was like, I'm going to be honest in the interview. I was like, I've never taken care of a baby. Like, I don't know much about infants. And they were like, well, neither have we. So we'll I'll figure it out together.
Oh, these are some like the coolest people ever.
They're really cool. You'd love them. They live in San Pedro
just
now.
Totally understanding. Hey, no problem.
Wait, I used to walk through your guys' neighborhood here. They live like down the street.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Weird.
Here, and I would like walk around and go on long walks. So, yeah, you guys would be friends. But no, it is like, I don't know. It is good practice too, because then you're also around different kids with different temperaments. Yeah. I took care of like, oh my God, one kid, oh God, this is my first family I ever worked for in Newport. And they're the craziest family I ever worked for. One kid, he didn't want to, like when he wouldn't want to go to karate, he would literally get knives out of the drawer and threaten me with knives and be like, I'm not going to karate. Or he was kind of a big kid, and one time he like grabbed me by the throat and like pushed me against the wall. Oh, I'm done. I'm like resigned. I wish the best for that kid. That's way terrifying, dude. First of all, every horror movie has like a kid in it. He was really sweet. He just had problems with aggression. He just wanted to kill me with the knives. He was just, poor kid. Actually, don't know what's going on with the parents. That's horrible. Yeah. And I was the only one, like, I don't know. And then the grandparents, when I'd see them, they'd be like, the kids have really been doing so much better since you started like working with them and stuff. That's good. Like, I mean, everybody needs help, right? If someone needs help, they need someone there for them. Don't know if I'm the man for the job when it comes to the knives. I was like 18. No, I was getting paid like $17 an hour at that job. Wow. For 3 kids, 5, 7, and 9. Dang. Yeah. They were crazy. The little one, he's so fucking cute. He was like, like one time I went out and he had a whole electrical cord that was like in a bucket of water, and he was about to plug it into the side of the house. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, science. And that was like his cute. Whole thing. Yeah. And he'd wear these little bright orange Crocs and like a safari hat. Yeah. I don't know. Kids, they're crazy. That's cute. Kind of cute until they're electrocuting themselves. Yeah, until they get the knives. What's the best job you ever had? Like, aside from your job right now, like best, like if we're talking just like, run of the mill jobs. Well, we talked about this earlier with the restaurant thing. I know. And you really liked it that much? I didn't like it towards the end, because you get over it. But did you ever bartend? I feel like you would love that. At times. It was like sometimes I'd work when they did that. But what I really like, so I worked in a restaurant when I was 16 years old and worked till I was like 21 or something. And like kind of all through kind of like the last 2 years of high school into college. And that was kind of my job all through. I liked it because it was fast paced. It taught me a lot of things. Like it taught me how to deal with difficult people. Totally.
It taught me how to handle stress.
Customer service, like,
because I worked fine dining, and I also worked like a really popular like Italian restaurant that was like banging, like 2-hour waits every night.
Where?
It was in Orange County.
Yeah.
And then the other place in Laguna Beach, it's not there anymore, but it was like a high-end fine dining. So I worked.
No wonder you probably made hella money.
Yeah,
too.
like I was killing it at like 16.
Yeah.
Because it was like all my coworkers were 35.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. This is like their career.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
Yeah.
And so it was
like
awesome.
at a restaurant like that is your career. Like
these people
you're
are like,
making
exactly.
money.
And the only reason why I got a job was because it was a newer restaurant and the owner needed help. And so he's like,
Damn,
you got the job.
up.
And so it was just like, oh my God, I have a crazy story. Maybe I might have told this before, but like my second shift ever, I mean, suit, tie, the whole type of restaurant. I had a Pellegrino like this with 3 glasses. And I hadn't really figured out the whole tray thing yet.
Shit.
And the classic thing is
you were 16.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You always put heavy stuff in the middle where your hand is.
Right.
And then the light stuff around. So when you pull things off, the tray doesn't go like this. I didn't know. So I put the Pellegrino over. Exactly. This is stuff you kind of figure out as you work with trays. I had the Pellegrino here, and then I had the glasses here. So it's perfectly balanced, but you take one thing off, it's gone. So I was this hot, this like executive guy with his children and his wife, and they're sitting there, and he's stuffy and kind of a jerk. And this is the clientele of a high-end restaurant. A lot of times are not the most sweet, understanding people. So I want this. I'm like, okay, bring it to him. He's to my left. I take one glass off to put it on. The Pellegrino falls right onto the tray, spills directly on his head. And it's so much so that it's running down his eyes and face, and he's looking at me and blinking, and the water is flickering off his eyes. And it was so much water that like he couldn't believe it was happening. So it wasn't like, oh, I got like meat on his like lap, and he goes, oh, get this off me. He was so stunned by the fact that there was fizzy, freezing cold water drenched him that he had no words. He just looked at me, he's like this. He was like, no. Dead center. That's insane. Drenched. He looked like he had just jumped in the ocean. And I go, he literally was like, and I go, I'll be back, sir. And I just run away. And I was like, telling the owner, I was like, this could be a problem, like that guy. And then he had to go out and apologize and like comp his whole meal and like the whole thing. God. And that was my like entry to like,
were they pissed at all? Not really. Like the manager.
He was on him. He hired a 16-year-old who had never worked in a restaurant to work in a fine dining place, and didn't train me. Literally, it was like first day. It was like, get out there, and I was just like, all right. Why
does that happen? By the way, side note: first job I ever worked was at a climbing gym when I was 15 and a half. My parents had to like sign some work release or something for me to work there. They never taught me how to run the POS system, so I would just tell people when they walked in that the credit card machine was down.
The classic, just lie to the customer because you don't know how to do it.
I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, they're just like, cash only. No change, because I don't really know how to do the change thing very fast because I don't have a cell phone yet. So $20 flat. And then the manager comes back. He's like, why do you have $600 even? The classes are $18.99. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird time today.
Yeah, and I would totally be like, they'd be like, I don't have cash. And I'd be like, it's fine.
Get in there. First time.
Doesn't change the cost of overhead, Hey, you know what I'm saying?
Can't put a price on fun.
So they didn't train you at all?
No, zero train. And that's kind of the restaurant business anyways, was like a lot of like, throw yourself in the deep end and figure it out.
I mean, it's not something you can learn on paper. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's a lot of like, then later on I worked at a restaurant where then I knew what I was doing. So then I was training people and they knew what they were doing. Like it was like a very like, they knew exactly the service and it would like took it. But long story short, what I loved about it was like that I learned how to deal with all those things. And it really set me up for later where I was like, I know how to deal with stress. I know how to deal with difficult people. I know how to deal with like fast paced environments. So that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
I thought it's a great job, I think, for people who are like in their young selves to like, it's a great job for anybody, but like, especially as a young person, because it gets you to deal with like problems and problem solving. Like,
I think any customer service job as like a younger person is like probably good training for like the real world.
Dealing with people. What about you?
Like best job?
Yeah.
Well, my nanny gig, but worse. Yeah. Let's see what else. I worked at the climbing gym was fun because I would just like work kids' birthday parties and stuff like that. I don't know. I really like kids. So it was like the kids' birthday parties were super fun because like kids would be scared to go on the wall, and
you could help
be
them.
like,
That's
and
cool.
you'd be like, oh my God, dude. One time though, like, so there's when a kid's little, you're supposed to do like over the shoulder harnesses.
Okay.
Rather than, like normal waist harnesses.
Okay. Yeah. It's it's almost like a full harness so that no matter what happens.
Well, because no one really explained this to me.
You're like, the POS system is down.
Little kids are like top heavy. Like, toddlers have
It's
like
all
big
head.
heads.
Kids hanging.
This kid in a waist one. He's like, he's like 15 feet up, Evan. And he falls and he flips upside down.
And it's just,
he didn't fall.
Oh, but he's hanging.
Upside down, and I'm like,
you're like, this is all part of the process. We need to introduce them to fear.
Literally though, I'm 15 and a half. There's like no adults in the gym. I'm the one leading this kid's birthday party. So
There's 5 kids just hanging upside down.
I'm belaying.
POS system is down.
The parents are watching, so I'm literally having to be like, yeah, exactly. Part of this happens.
Cash only.
So I'm like, can you hold this rope? So I climb up there and like flip him topside.
Could you
and then have to
lower him down like head first and then kind of like grab him?
I was afraid he was going to fall out.
Oh, that's true.
And I was the one doing the belaying. So I had to be like, someone grab this. They literally, when he fell, because, when you fall off the climbing wall, it's not like you're falling, like you're just like, bloop, like.
How old is he?
I don't know. Younger than 5, probably 4.
So how did
and
he get,
literally,
how did he get so
his
high?
little body literally went upside down.
How did he get 15 feet high?
I mean, he's probably, what do you mean? Ruth can climb like 20 feet.
That's true.
She's
But again, she's
3.
kind of like trained in the arts.
No, but like a 4 or 5-year-old can totally get up the wall.
Okay. Oh, I guess so. I guess
maybe not
so.
all of them, but some
I guess
kids
Ember's 6, so yeah, that makes sense. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. You're like, you need to go through this to build emotional fortitude for life. You're like trying to make up some shit for the parents. You're like, this is an analogy of when plans don't go right. All right, so are you going to panic up there? And
this is part of the intro to climbing.
And then you do it to every other kid just to make it look like you meant to do it.
That was wild. Yeah, that was a fun job though, because it was just chill. And then if there was no one in the gym, you and your other teenage associates would just like stack up pads and jump off of them and do dumb stuff like that. Worst jobs, worked at Brandy Melville for 1 week.
Retail seems really
on the
difficult.
promenade. That was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. They wouldn't comp our parking.
Right.
And the parking was $18 and I was getting paid minimum wage. So parking was $2 2 hours out of my 8-hour day.
You work to park. Yeah, it's funny you say that because the other day I was at the Apple store and I needed to get something and the guy was validating my parking and he made a mention like, yeah, we have to pay for parking. And I was kind of like, what?
No, I would just do the thing where you follow the car in front of you and then zoom out when they leave.
Oh, the classic like
tail
escape.
them and then it works actually.
gosh.
The other day I didn't have my credit card and I was like, I didn't realize I didn't have my wallet on me.
Yeah.
And they didn't take Apple Pay. And I was like, what the fuck do I do?
I think about that sometimes. I think about people going in and then they have no money or they forget their wallet and then they can't get out. I'm like, what happens? Do you go to prison? Like, do you just stay like in some holding cell?
I mean,
like,
I was like, I guess I have to like ask someone to like pay for me. And then I was like, no, I'll just wait until a car comes.
it has to happen all the time where someone just kind of doesn't think
but what
about
if there's
it.
no one going? Like, what do you do?
You're just stuck. There's like a prison.
That's what's crazy to me. Speaking of parking prison, that's basically what getting your car towed is. And that concept is crazy to me. If you park in the wrong place, they'll steal your car and you have to pay to get it back.
I got my car towed in college once.
Dude, me too.
And
Fullerton.
I thought, me too, Fullerton.
No way. Yeah, I got my car towed in Fullerton.
They must be real sticklers out there.
It sucks.
Me too. I got my car towed in Fullerton. That is bizarre. It must be like the most towy place ever.
Dude, and then the tow place, my boyfriend at the time, he only had a motorcycle and like his motorcycle's in the shop or something. It was before Uber. So we're like, we have to take the bus.
Yeah.
And then we had to walk 1.5 miles to this remote ass tow yard.
Yeah.
And then they're like, sorry, we only take, I don't know, like check or something random. So then we had to
Cashier's
walk
checks.
back.
Yeah.
Yes. We had to like walk back. It was like $400. Like,
Yeah. Mine was $400 or $500. I remember Jess had to drive 40 minutes to Fullerton to pick me up because it was before Ubers.
Yes.
So I I was just like, I thought my car was stolen.
Yeah.
Because
no, me too.
I just pulled up and my car's gone.
I know.
And I'm like, what is happening? So I go into like the store and I'm like, did you guys see a car get stolen? They're like, no, you probably got towed. I was like, oh my God. So then I had to call the thing, had Jess drive 45 minutes to take me. It was $500 or whatever. And I was just like, what happened?
We were like, why is the guy behind bulletproof glass at this tow yard?
Right. It's because people are that mad.
You start going through the list. Gate opening fee, $75. Entrance fee into the
Bathroom
gate, $80. Overnight fee, $65. And they just make all these bullshit fees.
They're like, we got to fortify this place.
You know what's wild? Have you ever seen someone come up on their car getting towed and when they've already
there's
started
so many videos
towing,
like that. They're like, poof, like, you know,
because they say, oh, sorry, we've already started it.
Yeah.
And they're like, the person's like, just get my car down from the truck, please.
Right.
And they're like, nope. That's the most enraging
the paperwork's been
shit.
filed. I got pulled over not too long ago for like a registration thing, and it was like a registration, and I couldn't find my registration card. And he goes, "Well, I'm gonna have to get a registration ticket." I was like, "Okay." And then as he's walking to the car, I go, "Oh, I have the app on my phone. I can download it." So then I download it, and he goes, "Sorry, too late." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "I already put it in the paperwork in." I was like,
The amount.
"Dang it."
Assholes.
And I was like, "Do I go off? Doesn't solve any problems."
It doesn't.
We'll leave it.
Have you? Yeah, I don't go off that often, but there are times, like there was this one time when I was pregnant and we were at the airport, and you know how they're like real big sticklers about picking, like you can't, when you're picking someone up, you like can't stay for more than like 2 minutes when you're picking someone
big
up.
time. Yeah, they'll get on you quick.
I was like at the final terminal, and I remember I was like 8 months pregnant, and I was like, sorry, my bag's delayed. And Gray was like pulled up in his truck, and she's like, I'm gonna write the ticket right now if he doesn't move his truck, and he was gonna have to go all around again. You know how big LAX is.
It's like an hour.
And I just remember I being like, please, and she'd be like, if you don't move your truck right now, like I'm writing you up a ticket as we speak. And I was just like, you are a bitch. I don't think I said that, but I was just basically like, you're a bitch.
Well,
like,
especially when I would have just been like, oh my God, the baby's coming.
my breaking.
God, do you know how to
me
deliver a baby? And then she's like, and then she runs away, and you're like, okay, cool.
What I love on TikTok is people will quietly film in their like customer service job at the hotel and stuff, like customers, where you can hear them going off.
That's the other side of it, right? The other side is this lady's probably dealing with this all day.
Although you could do the thing of just being like, I'm just going to pretend I didn't see you. Like, and that happens sometimes. You know, people do that thing of like, I'm going to pretend I didn't see you. But when I'm like pregnant and when my boyfriend in his like beater 1996 Tacoma is like,
but there's a reason why she's employee of the year. She doesn't play these games.
She's written up so many goddamn tickets.
Think that how does she win the award every year? By being nice? By like letting it slide?
Do you know that's my dream though? Is when it's happened a couple times when someone's like heckling an employee. Do you like I like being nearby and I like saying something.
Oh, like when. Wait, you mean like, when a customer is heckling an employee?
Yes. Like I remember being at the airport one time and this guy was just being a real dick and being so stupid too. When it's like one of those things where it's like, my flight can't be canceled. I have to go somewhere. It's like this fucking flight attendant at the front or whoever she is at the front desk is not going to be able to change bro.
Yeah, she's not flying it. She just has a thing that says delayed, and then she just says it's delayed.
Exactly. And then I remember being younger, and I felt so good being like, you needed to chill out. And he was like so angry, and I was just like, made me so happy to just be able to say like, you need to chill out.
So you like the idea of you going to the person who's being abusive to the employee and then kind of disciplining them a little bit or making them feel dumb for it.
Being a hero. Exactly. Which is something I probably need to work on, but I like making them feel like an idiot. And then also, you know, as the person who's the customer service person, I want to be like, don't worry, you know, like this guy is being an asshole and I see him being an asshole too. I'm not ignoring it, you know, like you need to chill out, guy.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think for me, when I see the people freaking out, I am immediately just like...
You're like, I immediately pull out my camera and start filming.
And then I post it and see if I can get it to go viral so that I can put ads on it. No, I'm always just kind of like, wow, what is going on? To where like that
it's heavy.
Is... Yeah, to me, it almost becomes like this weird, like, I pull back and I'm like,
it's sad.
I'm watching the simulation a little bit. And I'm like watching this person just like go off
They're
about
so
like
dysregulated. They can't even control themselves.
Dude, like what is happening to where you're just willing to go all out on this person and be like almost arrested for how much you're screaming at this person over like the fact that something they can't even do, like a delayed flight or something. And I'm going like, this is bizarre.
I don't know. I kind of like to say, I just
you
like to say
step in a little bit.
Just
you
a
like
little
the
bit.
justice.
I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to go full-fledged justice, be like, you need to stop harassing her, sir. But I like just like throwing a little comment of like, that's not necessary.
Sure.
Doing that whole thing. And then the person's like,
thank you. And then the employee looks at you and goes, thank you so much. And you're like, I'm just doing my job.
And then I go, one of these.
Thank you, Batman.
I too was in retail for 1 week.
Yeah. Hey, I got you. Anyway, let's go, guys. I made the bed this morning.
What would you rather do, desk job or like when you're like a receptionist or retail?
Receptionist or retail?
I pick.
I look at them the same.
Except retail, I would just like kind of walk around and have to like refold clothes. Like at Brandy, we'd have to like straighten out sweaters and stuff.
Commission, if there was retail with commission.
That's crazy.
I'd be like, oh, there's a sales tactic.
That's only like fancy places,
Probably, right? Like Bloomingdale's and places like that, I'm guessing.
Did you know when you get like, this is something I didn't know, in the like luxury purse industry, in order to get hired at like, let's say, Louis Vuitton purse store.
Okay.
Because I've looked at the applications before, because I was like, I think I could do this. I think I could sell like luxury stuff to people. Like that sounds fun. Mm-hmm. Like that sounds interesting, right? Mm-hmm. On the resume, you have to say, they ask you like, do you have a client list from like your last job?
Whoa.
So it's like a thing when wealthy people like, you'll be like, oh, Mr. Ambrose, like, can I get your email and your phone? I'll give you a call when we get in that new installment of Wallets or whatever. And then you like have their contact.
Oh, you know what? That's happened to me before.
Really?
I bought Jess a couple years ago. I want to say I bought her some like really nice sunglasses or something for a birthday from like a nice store. And like that lady like texted me multiple times. And was like, how are the glasses?
And you're like, what the fuck?
Well, no, I was like, dang, this is kind of insane. This is what people live like. She was like, how are the glasses, Mr. Ambrose? I hope you're liking them. If there's anything you're not liking, bring them back. I'll have them fixed for you. We have someone that can screw and tweak.
Yeah.
If you don't like the lenses, I'm just going like, whoa, like this. Anytime you come back, she'd send me. But just so you know, Mr. Ambrose, we're running a special. Like in Mr. It wasn't like a generated text. It was like from her.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa.
So on the resume, they're like, do you have like a contact list?
That makes sense.
That you can bring.
She was clearly trying to collect me as like a client or whatever.
Right. Isn't that weird?
Very weird.
I know. It's a bizarre world. I'm like, how do you get into that kind of thing?
Meanwhile, I'm just like, is the sale still going on?
What kind of sale are we talking?
Yeah.
15 or 30%?
Listen, you do a deal if I buy 5 shirts? They're like, sir, this is a Zara. We don't do that. I'm buying 5 shirts here.
Oh my God, that's like, what's the financial guy? What's the financial guy's name? The real popular Christian one that everyone hates. Dave Ramsey. That's like, he's like, cash is king. Tell them that you'll pay in cash and see if they'll give you a deal.
I'll pay $50 for the leather jacket.
Cash.
Cold hard cash. The 16-year-old is like, sir, I don't even know. It's just you pay and I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my God. You know what did work though is my dad did tell me, he goes, don't do when I was looking for a job after the Bachelor, he was like, don't do an online application, like print out an application and walk into stores and like give them your application.
Classic old guy vibes. Like
I
my
did
parents
get a job that way.
Really? Because that's
Melville.
I don't mean old guy in a bad way. I mean more like.
No, I know that's like the cash
that's
thing.
Like
it's
my
like
dad would say, "Hey, you want to make a face?" I'm like, "Dad, I'm applying for Jamba Juice. I don't need like a face to face, you know."
But I did it. I mean, I got it. Granted, I got a job at Brandy. Wasn't excellent.
Sure.
And most stores I went into, they were like, you have to fill out the online application. Right. But I still did it. I walked in, it was like, is there a manager
it's not gonna
here?
Hurt.
Like, I'm not doing anything else with my time. I'm unemployed.
No, it's so funny. The whole job thing. It's like so stressful. And like those, just, hey, here's what you want to do. You want to go in there, okay? And you want to just get a face-to-face. Sure, I'll do anything it takes. Okay, you show up for 100 days straight if it means you're going to get it. Meanwhile, like, the guy's like, you're loitering.
Granted, you're more likely to get a job walking
100%.
around the promenade than sitting in your apartment. Am I right?
And just emailing them, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Maybe you might get a better chance with email.
Probably.
But
yeah.
But if you're a good looking person, you got a good personality, they might be like, we need you on our team.
Yeah, that's true.
We can get you in here selling bags.
Yeah, 100%.
Don't worry about the client list. You're a good looking person.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's any one last debate that is going to be a good one. Oh, someone said get Evan's Cobb takes.
Cobb, what's that? Oh, you mean Cobb House?
Yes.
I'm becoming a convert. At first, I was very like this
dubious.
this is some real hippie stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was
Yes.
like, this is just some real hippie stuff. And I didn't really get it.
Yes.
And you showed me some pictures
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa, this is actually very
Kinda
cool.
cool, right?
And then I just became sad that no one can just build their house using cob. You have to have like certain whatevers. That's what made me sad because I
permits and
thought,
stuff.
wait, you can like, I'm like, I could build a whole back house.
No, wait, but this is the thing though. Evan, I gotta tell you about our plans real quick. We are going to do probably a back house cottage out of cob. We're going to contract the guy who did my workshop to come help do it.
Yeah.
I asked him, get this. I go, how much would it cost? Because here's also the thing. In LA County, in most counties, if you build under 120 square feet, you don't need a permit. Doesn't sound like a lot, but actually
120?
120 square feet is actually low-key kind of big.
How big is this garage?
This is probably like 15 feet by probably like 12 feet, I'd say. Maybe like 18 feet by 12 feet. It's pretty big.
So maybe 300 to 400 square feet?
300.
15 by 15 would
250.
be...
I'd say it's like 250.
Okay.
I probably did the math wrong on
So
that. But
half
I
of
think
this.
this is like 250 square feet. It's a 10 by 12 room. Like our bedroom is 10 by 12.
Right.
My bedroom is 10 by 12.
Got it.
So I was like actually like measuring it out. I was like, that's a spare bedroom.
A spare bedroom or like a studio or
Yeah.
like a little workspace or something
Exactly.
like that. Yeah.
So we're looking to contract the guy out to build like a finish. I asked him, I go, how much would it cost to build like a proper studio house, like a 1-bedroom house, like not just the 120 square foot. Like we're talking like
500, 600 square feet.
not
something
that
like
big,
Okay.
smaller, probably like 300 square foot.
Okay.
Like, you'd have a sleeping loft.
This kind of vibe if it had more going on.
This. Yes, this. I go, how much would that cost? And he goes, and I go, how long would it take? He goes, I did a project like that for someone in Colorado. It took 5 weeks. She spent $10,000 in materials and paid me $10,000.
20 grand for a house.
I go,
mini house.
I go, what about if you have like 30 or 40,000? He goes, oh my God, like we'll do like beautiful
Bel Air.
custom. He goes, we'll do beautiful custom windows and doors. We can
my
do like,
goodness.
custom like roof, fancy like.
This is why I was like devastated when you told me that you can't build this stuff anymore because I was like, dude, like I want to build my whole house in Cobb.
We're probably gonna contract that guy out.
That'll be a good tester.
To do like a back cottage. And I was like, dude, for our guests, like if we
Right.
have people come stay with us, we have family and friends come
Sure,
stay.
sure.
They can go sleep out in this little cottage in the backyard.
cob.
We can even record it in the back because it's so well
Right.
insulated from sound.
That's pretty good.
So anyway, what we're thinking of doing, because we just visited this property out in the Mojave Desert, where they have a bunch of little domes on the property.
Yeah.
They're all under 120 square foot, so they don't have to worry about getting fined or they don't have to worry
Right.
about permits. So what Gray and I have been talking about is buying a piece of land somewhere, I don't know where, OI, Joshua Tree, and doing like a cool Airbnb where people can come
that would
experience
kill.
it.
That would kill.
And wouldn't it be sick?
Yeah, a lot of people would love that.
You can go stay. So anyway, that's the thing about the Cobb.
That's
but
Cobb.
Last one. Okay, this is the last one because I know you feel passionate about this, and this actually might be the debate. We didn't really debate on much. Active versus relaxing vacations.
Okay, you go first on this one.
Gray and I were just talking about this yesterday. I will say this. If you're planning to lounge around on a beach or by a pool or any of that, and there's kids, see, you guys do, this is something that we do a lot of stuff with our kids. One thing I am baffled by and impressed by is that you guys will go do like a Palm Springs weekend
Right.
with Ember.
Yes.
And that to me is like, I'm like, that sounds like anything remotely relaxing, bringing the kids with us, poolside, beachside. We both agreed. We're like, no, if we're doing something with the kids, we've got to have like a bazillion activities lined up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we were literally just talking about this last night. If we're going to like Hawaii or something like that, or even like Palm Springs for a weekend, he and I can both just like, chill by the pool if there's no kids for a limited time. I can do that for about 3.5 days.
Okay.
After which I'm like my friends had a wedding in Nicaragua and we were there for a week and we just pretty much laid around the pool all day. And like on day 3, I was like,
are we hiking?
Am I making like
snorkeling? What are we doing?
Yeah. Do I need to start gathering sticks on the beach to make like a hut? Like we got to I need something to do here.
Interesting.
Can't just drink and lay around all day.
Right.
It gets a little boring.
I understand that. Okay. Here's the thing.
But I don't want to be, but I also, if someone has I struggle harder with someone who has a set itinerary, which Jess has said her dad is kind of like that, I think. That's hard for me.
Okay.
If it's like, we have to do dinner tonight at 6 at this place, that to me, I get a little like,
interesting.
Ooh, you're telling me I have to go to that dinner tonight. What if that's not the vibe tonight?
Oh, interesting.
That stresses me out.
Okay, so Jess, in my opinion, and her dad are the master
planners.
No, vacationers.
Oh, vacationers. Okay.
Masters.
Okay.
Because what they do is they plan the stuff that becomes stressful when you're on vacation.
When you're trying to get it, you're like, should we go snorkeling tomorrow? And then it becomes a whole thing.
So what, yeah. So like when you go on a vacation, right, you're like, what becomes stressful if you're, well, I guess we're not really talking about this, but just to make it a quick point, they're really good at planning the stuff that can be stressful because it's like, oh, okay, if last minute you want to go to dinner, but then that place is booked, now you're bummed you can't go to dinner. But if the reservation's there, it's an option that's locked and loaded.
True, and you don't have to go.
Exactly.
That's true.
If you, you need the car. If you show up and you want to rent a car and there's no cars available, you're screwed. Yeah. If the car's already booked a month in advance, know we're just going to show up, take the car. You know what I mean? Everything's good. So they're really good at like nailing all those small details so that when you get there, the flexibility to do or not do is dialed. She's a master at it. And he's a master that she learned from him.
Do they both feel flexible though? Of like, we don't have to go to dinner tonight. Okay, 100%. I'm down with that.
Yeah. So that's
the dinner option on the table. That's nice.
It's like great. Everything's available.
That's great.
Because what becomes stressful is like when you show up, you want to do something you can't because you didn't think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then you're kind of bored.
And then you're bored.
You're like, fuck, I wish we had thought about going ziplining.
Exactly. Yeah. But she already thought about it, booked it, and then you can cancel 24 hours before. She's already thought about that. So she goes, do we want to do that tomorrow? Because if not, we can cancel it right now. And then you're like, we do want to do it. Boom, it's there. That's good. But if you wanted to do it, you can't because it's booked, sold out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So she's a master at that. Active versus non-active. For me, in general, non-active. Now, if I'm like...
Define non-active.
I look at active vacationing. It also depends on what you're doing. If you're on like a hiking trip, obviously you're active. But like, I'm thinking in terms of like, I think I'm taking the question as, we're going to Palm Springs.
No, yeah, okay.
And there's that one person who's going, so what are we doing today? And then the one person's like, what do you mean? We're chilling by the pool all day and we're chilling out and having White Claws and vibing and talking and occasionally playing games. I am the latter. I'm not, what are we doing today?
There's also context to me too. If I'm driving 2 hours to Palm Springs, I don't give a fuck. Whatever. I'll hang out and drink White Claws by the pool all day. I'm not like going out of my way to spend money or an exorbitant amount of time to be there. So like, whatever. If we're just going to like hang out around the fire, like, I don't care. If I'm flying to Hawaii, on the other hand, what is like active, You're
just saying like a tropical chill location that has action or chill if you want it.
But you're having to fly and pay money,
Right. No, it's an investment. It's an expensive thing. You've planned it and it's taken a lot. Yeah. So for me, if it's a tropical, vibey, drinks by the water, but also there's mountains you can climb. I'm like, if I'm gonna be there for 7 days, 2 days we'll have action.
Okay.
So we'll plan like a hiking day, or we'll plan a day where we rent the car and we drive all around and check out a bunch of cool stuff. Other than that, I'm like beach pool, walk, snorkel, beach pool.
What about, do you feel like, let's say, you're hanging out on the beach. Do you feel like doing a little like parasailing thing? Do you consider that active or just like?
I'd want it to be, now I would go like snorkeling.
Okay.
I do that.
Or what about like, going on a dolphin boat?
If we're all laughing.
Or like a catamaran.
If we're all doing it and it's fun, yeah. Okay. But if it's like, I don't want it to ever feel like work, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I don't want to ever feel like we're working and
like
we've spent hours.
Like when you're hot in the sun and you're waiting in line to see this thing.
I want it to be always vacation. So if I'm in the mood to be active and I'll be like, I'm going to surf all day. Let's go on the catamaran. Let's go scuba diving. If that's what I'm feeling and it feels like fun and vacation-y, I'm in.
Yeah.
We've all been on those vacations like with our parents or something where it's like they're dragging us out of bed and we're like, going somewhere and it's a 6-hour drive and it's just like, why are we doing this? We're all fighting, everybody's screaming at each other, the guy is not there, dad's, you know what I mean? It's that whole thing, the forced thing I don't like.
That's actually funny. That's like the one thing I kind of miss is family vacations. Do you guys still do that, your families? I haven't been on like a family vacation in forever.
We've done a couple family vacations with her dad, but he's the king of vacations, so it's amazing. He like has planned out every detail. It's chill. He knows vacation so well too that he'll be like, I know at about 2 we're gonna want like hors d'oeuvres.
Oh,
so like I made a reservation for us to walk down and get tacos at this place. Like he just knows the vibe.
Yeah,
and so right when you think about what might be nice, he's like, we're already going.
That's
so
great.
like that's awesome. But what I don't like is like, mom really wanted to go see the whatever, and we're all like, here we go. Or like the cousin really,
it's always mom,
but
right?
it's like the cousin really wanted to go on a hike, and we're all like, oh, I'm so tired. That's what I don't like.
You know what I really want to do? My mom always wanted to do this, but now I have inherited this. I don't like, have you been on a cruise ship?
Once.
I don't
when
like,
I was 21.
do you like it?
It was a 21 thing for me.
21, that makes sense.
It was a way for us to like drink and just like run around.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
that's fun. No, I went on a cruise ship at 15. We were like on the Mediterranean, very fancy. We went on like a European family thing.
That's
cool. I
cool.
did it once, very fancy.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was like, I don't want to be on this cruise ship. I want to be like staying in Italy.
Oh, even at 15.
Oh, I was very like that, where I was like, over romanticized Europe, and I was like, why would I want to be on this? Like, I was like, why would I? Pulls up in
his Vespa and takes me away.
Yeah, I'm like, why would I? Well, also, which makes sense. I'm like, why would I want to be on this cruise ship with all these like retired Americans?
Right.
When I could be like staying above a little bistro.
Sure,
like,
a bistro. Yeah.
And instead, I'm doing an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Right.
On the Mediterranean, when it could be like in Spain or Italy. That was kind of my vibe. But now as an adult, what I really want to do is do like multiple families and bring like a nanny or something. Or actually when the kids are old enough, they can just go off to the kids club or whatever.
Right.
And then in the evenings, you could be like, oh, hey, who wants to go do karaoke? Oh, who wants to just go? And then everyone kind of split up and do their own thing like
That's
on
cool.
the cruise ship. Doesn't that sound kind of fun?
That does sound cool. The cruise ship I went on was like a 21-year-old.
No, you were like on the booze cruise.
It was the worst.
Mexico
it was like the
cruise.
lowest end. Like there was like one show and like a place to get like food. It wasn't like. But I do know that some cruises are like incredible.
Yeah,
it's like Vegas on.
I want to do the
water.
Alaskan cruise.
There you go. My parents did something
cool,
like
right?
that.
Parents
That's very retiree.
Right?
Everyone on the Alaskan cruise is like old.
But it seems like romantic, right? It's like chilly and seems like bougie.
Yeah.
Like it's probably really nice food.
Probably a lot of things to do for kids too, so it's probably fun that way. Or are you talking about just you and Gray?
I could go either way. If there's other families, I could bring the kids.
Right.
That's kind of where like the all-inclusive resort is great too. What I realized when we went to a resort for like some Instagram thing, you got the kids club that they can be in like all day.
That's pretty cool.
And then all the stuff is on the property. So you're like, oh, we can go jet skiing if we want. We can go snorkeling if we want. And we're all on the property while the kids like in the at their awesome water park.
Right.
Kids club.
Yeah.
Next door.
That's true.
Anyway, so.
Sweet. I just blacked out for like an hour and a half. I don't even know what we did. We just were like, blah, and then it was over. But I assumed that was what we were going to be like.
I actually thought we were going to get into like some heated debates about things.
Me too, but I felt like...
No, pretty chill.
Anyway.
Well.
Sweet.
That's that.
I think that... I think when it comes to the debates, we also like... We were having fun topics too, you know what I mean? And I think that I'm glad we didn't get into things like water or
what, like water usage?
The water drinking or real things like that.
Well, someone did ask, and I skipped over it. Someone asked,
skipped over it.
How necessary are the outdoors to our well-being? And I was like, I'm gonna take this a little too seriously.
I feel like it's absolutely necessary.
Well, then there's no debate.
There's no debate there.
Maybe what we should have done is this would have been fun. We could have come into the debate with like a side that we were fighting for, even if we didn't believe in it. Like outdoors are not necessarily to our well-being.
Oh yeah,
and I argue for that, like in proper debate. You only need a shower once a month.
No one needs the outdoors. Stay inside at all times. Watch movies 24/7.
Dude, someone on my story today said one of theirs was animals belong outside, all of them. And then people were like, fuck this person. But it's funny because I interpreted
fuck this person.
But I interpreted them as being like animals belong outside. Not like no indoor animals. It's sort of like animals belong outside, like in the wild. Oh. But I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend putting my chihuahua outside for very long. A hawk is going to come and just grab her at any time. So I'm very like, it depends on the animal.
Dude, we were talking about, earlier before we were recording, Evan and Jess and I were talking about birds. Dude, there's this crazy Netflix show where part of the show, they're just showing people doing all these extreme things.
Yeah.
These people, I think in China, have this tradition where they train bald eagles to hunt for them.
Whoa.
So they carry the bald eagle on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And then they say like, there's a bunny right there.
Go get
and
him.
the bald eagle gets it. And then they go and get it. Isn't that crazy?
That seems like a movie. That doesn't even seem real.
It's real.
Fascinating.
It's very real. Anyway.
Dang.
All right. That's all, broads. Chat soon.
What a dismount. That's the kid hanging underneath.
I gotta go relieve our nanny.
All right.
Grayston's calling me. Chat soon, folks.